I live? I think I'm live. I hope I'm alive. I feel like I'm not alive because it's only 6 p.m. here in New York, and it's like day walker time, and I'm not a day walker, but I'm live. I think I'm live, and we're gonna have another influencer today. What kind of influencer? An influential one with, you know who? David. David, you know David? That guy? That guy from Comic Book Investments? Yeah, that guy. We're going to have an influential conversation with him, and we're going to manipulate his mind. But before that, we're going to have to play our obnoxiously long intro that's been completely outdated, because that's what we do on this channel. So enjoy. Well, was that obnoxiously long enough for you? If not, don't worry. We'll have an even longer one for the next episode. But until then, I want to thank everybody for joining us at this special edition time. What do we have a special edition time? Because we're dealing with West Coast people. We're dealing with the West Coast people, the land of the avocados, those people. They're finicky with the times. They don't like the late nights. They like sunshine. So we got a sunshine diva with us today, and looking forward to having a good conversation with him. Actually, one of my favorite content channels since he began doing some content, and not because of drama. He's kind of drama. Actually, he is a little drama-ish, a little bit. We'll get into that. But relatively free from drama. He's under the radar of drama. He's like, drama 10, 3 on a drama scale. Maybe 4 with those thumbnails, the Home Alone thumbnails he does. But that being said, without further ado, see, I'm multilingual. Without further ado, please help me welcome our friend David from Comic Book Investments.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Well, thank you, David, for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
How's the sunshine over there in California?
We're going to have a heat wave. It's going to get up to like 95 for the rest
of
the week.
That's what you guys get from having 3-hour difference.
Yeah.
You can tell them a little
bit later there for you.
Well, it's right over here. It's 6:05 p.m. It's New York.
I went to bed at like 8 p.m. yesterday. I'm like
oh my God.
Early to bed, early to rise type of person.
You have children?
My dogs.
Oh, wait till you have some children. You see what's going to happen. You're gonna be
warning me.
You're gonna be going to sleep at 6 p.m. That's what's going to end up happening.
And then wake up every hour.
But that being said, thank you again. Mm-hmm. We're going to just say a couple of quick hellos to everybody. Not long hellos. All right, listen, people. This is the drill. One hello. Everybody knows the rules. We say one hello to everybody, and then once we get started, no more hellos after that. I'll wave to you. We're not going to cut off the conversation. Just say hello to people. Okay? This is a tight ship over here. All right? You with the program, Dave?
Mm-hmm.
Is Dave okay or David?
I mean, either way, I normally go by David, but
Okay, David.
a
We'll
lot of
go by
people call
the.
me Dave from the channel.
Would
Because
you would you would you
it's really
prefer
funny.
Mr. Comic Book Investment?
No, you can call me David or whatever. It's funny because every intro I said, "Hey, this is David from Comic Book Investments," but I say it so fast it comes out as Dave, so people are like, "Oh, Dave, Dave, Dave," and I was like, "Oh, okay." But either or, I really don't care.
Are you
Whatever.
one of those guys that when people say, "Hey, Dave," are you one of those guys that say, "It's David"? Hey, it's David. My name is David, not
No,
Dave.
no, I don't. I mean, I have friends that call me Dave. So I just, yeah, I don't really care. Where either or, I'll respond to both.
All right. So everybody in the chat call him David because you're not his friends. Only his friends can call him David. All right. Maybe we'll be friends by the end of this stream, and maybe I'll call you Dave too. I don't know, but I'll call you David until then. But until then, let's say hello to some people. Hello there, GT Key Comic, who put down a comment. I don't know how many, like an hour ago. I don't know, a half an hour ago. Thank you
That's
for being the
G.I.
first.
Joe, right? Is Avatar's a G.I. Joe? I think G.I. Joe was it.
It looks like G.I. Joe issue number 2.
Yeah, I'm like trying to
Which
look.
for many years was actually worth more than issue number 1. You remember that far back?
I did not know that.
Yeah. A little stupid comic book trivia. That comic was, I guess because it was a lower print run. I don't know what the hell was the reason, but for some reason, number 2 was always more expensive than number 1. It was the weirdest thing. All throughout up until the early 90s, that was the case. And then,
So funny thing was, I got this collection in, and it was all like around that time frame, like 80s ish, collection. And I had probably 50 number 1s, like 50 number 2s, number 3s, number 4s, and it went all the way up to I think number 10. And like Savage She-Hulk number 1 probably had 50 copies of those. All of them were 9.0 plus, many 9.8s. But this was before the comic boom. So I sold them all for like dollars, just dollars. Just maybe number 1 was like $10, $15, and like 9.4, 9.8s. Never got them graded, all that kind of stuff. This is crazy. I always remember that.
you ever get into those now? No, right?
Oh yeah, no, I still sell that stuff all the time. It's
No,
just fun.
do you get those kind of collections in now?
Oh no.
People are more stingy these days.
Yeah, this showed up on like a pallet, just a pallet of just tons and tons of like long boxes and short boxes. That doesn't really happen anymore. It's just like
Almost
my
like
dad
a
would always
warehouse find.
yeah, my dad would always take me to those when I was a little kid. Like it just doesn't happen anymore. People are a little more savvy. They know what things are worth. They grade themselves sometimes, buy them graded, all kind of stuff. So it's just less likely to happen.
I'd love to get my hands on one of these old warehouses of Barnes and Nobles from the 2010s. Because
Barnes and Noble, like
something is, yeah, Barnes and when all those Barnes and Nobles shut down. Something is eating me alive that there is a couple of pallets somewhere of UF4s hidden somewhere.
Well,
I had an Incredible Hulk's ones.
88,000 print run, 86,000, I think. Ultimate 4 had. It could be. I mean, the one thing that I really like watching on YouTube is like abandoned malls, abandoned stores, abandoned houses, and people like go through them, and it's like completely untouched since whenever they left. And there's one I saw. There was a computer store from like 97, completely abandoned, and all this, you walk in there and it's just all like computer stuff still in boxes and bags, all from the 90s. It's kind of cool.
Oh, that shit is worth shit now. Those computer products are obsolete unless you get some vintage Apple frame or something like that.
I think
that's the thing with technology.
iPhone still wrapped sold for like 50,000.
Yeah, that's probably about it. Like maybe if you get them some of the old Apple IIs, in great condition. Yeah, I'm not even gonna get into the technology. You know what? You're more blah 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 than I expected. I thought you would be conserved and not talking, and I was gonna have to
I told you,
I was gonna have to pull things out of you. Holy crap! You talk. Yeah. I didn't know you talk. Now I gotta.
And by the way, is that the high C guy?
Yeah, that's Punchy.
Okay, yeah. I'm just trying to remember. I remember him when I was a kid.
Oh, it's Punchy. He broke Kool-Aid's leg off, and then he took over his job.
Mm.
It's
Do,
a
do
we
you
have
remember
conflicts.
the icy bear? I don't know his name.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, we had one of those near us, so we would go
We,
there.
we we don't like that guy around here.
Oh, we don't like the icy bear.
We're only into fruit juices. That's
Mm.
it. That's the only thing we sponsor over here. But that being said, we said, holy crap, LaCruce is not number one today on the hello list. Hello, LaCrucius. Welcome from New Mexico.
Hello.
Number 2. And we got Derek Neiman. Hello, Derek Neiman.
Hello,
And
Derek.
we have Beefit all the way from New Zealand. Hello. And we got Psychedelic Comics. And we got MJ Comics all the way from Great Britain. He's a little bit British. And we got Freebird the Nerd. How you doing, No, not Freebird. Furtbird the Nerd. Actually,
Bird.
I started watching his channel a little while ago. Good content, by the way.
Bird, then Erd. Could be then Erd.
Furtbird the Nerd. I have to get into his here and figure out where he came up with this name. And we got Kenneth Bird. We got Furtbird, and now we got Kenneth Bird. Hello to both of you. And we got Raw Valley Comics. We are doing fantastic. And how are you doing, Raw Valley? It's rhetorical. You don't have to answer. And we got Aggressively Relaxing. Hello. Yes, nobody expected me at daylight. We don't normally walk through the sunlight, but we did a special exception. We got JSS Brooklyn. Good evening. It is evening here in New York, even though the sun's out. And we got Uncanny Kyle, Wonka, Woka, whatever cup. Hello. And we got Blicker Street Comics up for Community Hangout. Go vote for him. And we got Jigs Kingdom up for Collaborative Award. Go vote for him. Well, I'm going to talk to you about those awards, what you think about them. And we got Dismay Comics, my associate, my friend, my partner in crime on a project that we are secretly working on that will be revealed within the next 2-3 months. Hello to you. And we got Darth Lopez. Hello, Darth Lopez. Now, why do you write your name? We know your name because you wrote it, but why are you telling us twice? That's an interesting comment.
Darth Lopez twice. Yeah, I see that.
Is Darth Lopez? Hi. It's like, do you
one
ever
has
walk
that little thing above it? His handle doesn't have the little, I don't know what it's called, little asterisk, not an asterisk, but the.
Well, do you ever go through a door in a room with a crowd and say, David?
No, I've never done that, at least to my knowledge.
That's what he does. Well, maybe that's what we should do. Maybe that's the thing to do, the new thing. We said hello to you, Furtbird. You're not going to get another hello at us. And we got Christina Payne. And I think we got Kamikaze all the way from Canada. He's Canadian. Don't hold it against him. And we got Susie Q. Hello. And Ben Compton. Hello. Oh my God, I'm sick of these hellos. No more hello. And we got Triple G, another British man. Hello, Triple G. We had a very good interview with Chris the Comic Vet earlier. And we
what
got
time
Perry.
is it over in England?
It's
probably
late.
really late. Yeah. So if you started your channel even later, I don't even know how they'd be up.
I think they got 6 hour difference with me. 5 or 6 hours. I think it's 6 hours, so I guess it's midnight over there.
Oh, okay.
They're working on Insomniac hours right there. And we got Perry. Hello. No, you didn't miss it, but that's it. You got it. You're done. And we got Javen Richardson. Hello to you. And who else we got? We got, holy crap, we got a super chat already. Well, thank you, Papa Wheelie. We appreciate it. Do you know what we do on this channel when somebody gives us a super chat? David, do you know what we do?
I have no idea.
We properly thank them.
Oh.
This is how we thank them.
Oh.
Thank you very much.
My friends, I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
I want to thank you much.
Thank you. Whew. Thank you very much.
Because thank you is never said any better than with geriatric nudity,
Yes.
Elvis,
Yes.
Ebenezer Scrooge, and whatever else and Indian midgets, dancing Bollywood style. There you go. And we got Razor Comics, the biggest troublemaker in the YouTube community at the moment. Welcome. Thank you for stopping by. And we got Travis Gant. Well, that was something. Yes, it was. And then Strange Dog. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, one hello. Anyway, that's it. We got it. And Spec Media. Hello to you. We are done. No more hellos. Now, as far as questions, we reserve questions towards the end of our conversation. If there is something, I will star your questions, but I will not. I'm not ignoring them. I'll answer them at the end with David, and unless it's something relevant to what we're talking about at that moment. Okay. Now you know the rules. One hello, questions at the end. We have rules here. That's how it works.
No, hey, it's Comic Tom. Hey, Comic
we
Tom.
got. You just missed the hellos. I can't even say hello to you. I'm going to violate my rules for you.
By the way, I will say Comic Tom has, well, I mean, there's a lot of nice people on YouTube. People always talk about like negativity on YouTube. I haven't experienced 1 ounce of it. But Comic Tom was instrumental in helping my channel in the very beginning. He did reach out to me early on. I don't even know why he did, but he did. And he talked and gave me a bunch of pointers in the very beginning. So that was very nice of him. And I met him at Comic-Con.
I definitely want to talk about that a little bit more with you. As far as you know what, let's just dive into this now. Everybody in here should be at least familiar with your channel, but just in case there's somebody that's completely clueless, you are one of these channels that I like to call one of the more relevant channels that for one reason or another fly under the radar. And we kind of talked about this a little bit backstage because you're out there. Clearly, people watch your content. Clearly, people enjoy your content. But you fall under the radar a little bit as far as the blah, blah, blah. You didn't know, like, people don't say anything really bad about you. They don't really get into it about you or, like, have back and forth. There's not a lot of collab stuff going on with you and other channels other than your original with Comic Tom and, sporadic other ones. I've seen people come onto your channel. But tell us a little bit about, just give us a little summary about you.
So, I mean, I was born in 1985, great year. And I was in the comic book industry since I was born. My dad was one of the biggest comic book dealers around. And so I used to go out to his shop, which was behind our house, and I would work for him bagging boards and soon learned to grade at probably age 10 and stuff like that and pricing out stuff, and would work for comics. And then, moved away from home. He sold his business. He thought he was going to retire forever, and turned out not to be the case. And I even asked him just recently because he sold his business for some bad things happened, but it was supposed to be $900,000 he sold his business for. I'm like, 900,000. I was like, Dad, you can't retire off of that. That's insane. He's like, well, my house was paid for at the time, and 900,000 was worth a lot more back in 2001, I think it was. So, but yeah, so then I started this business with my brother in 2009. And after I did a whole slew of random jobs, I used to be a massage therapist. I went to school for that too for 9 months. And then I did the YouTube channel. I think this is year 3 or 4 that I'm on it. My YouTube channel is just basically me passing down knowledge of since I was born. So I'm almost 40. I'm 39. So 39 years of knowledge. And finding things I find interesting because I still love comics, even though I do comics for a job every single day, 9 to 5. And so I still love comic books. So I just want to talk about comic books from my perspective. My favorite things to do, honestly, is the documentaries. They get the least amount of views. The more views get stuff on these 5 comics are going up, these 5 comics are going down. But my favorite ones to do are do I do research on either a subject or a person or a character, and I dive in deep and do a bunch of editing and stuff like that. I generally like those, but they get the least amount of views.
Well, something I noticed in your content was I was going up and down your channel and looking through a bunch of stuff that I might have missed, and something I found really interesting is the thumbnails with you like holding your face like you're Home Alone Kevin, or you're outraged, or like like you got punched in the stomach or kicked in the nuts. One of those kind of images are the ones that get you the most views.
Mm-hmm.
You have a one where you're interviewing a guy like Hugh Hefner's son.
Yeah. Yeah, we're
Which-
friends. He texts me all the time.
You would think this guy would get views. I'm like, what the hell's going on over here?
I know. So he was so interesting to talk to because I got to hear all this insight about his dad, because I just finished watching the Hugh Hefner documentary. It was like a 6-parter, and I sold every single Playboy. I got an entire collection from Heritage one time, one all the way up to like current, and I sold them all. I sold multiple Playboy #1s, and people don't realize, I'm like, do you have any idea how revolutionary like Hugh Hefner was like at the time? It's crazy. And yeah, so yeah, and it doesn't get as many views and whatever. It's fine. I enjoyed it.
I bet you if you put yourself screaming and then had a couple Playboy bunnies around you, you would have on that thumbnail. It would have gotten you different reaction.
Yeah, I know.
It's weird. It's just weird. Like what attracts people and does it. I would think that would be your #1 video.
You know what's crazy is I did a video not too long ago, and I was timing it for the Wolverine and Deadpool movie, where I broke down the character, and I broke them down like how many times they first appeared, how many issues they appeared in, like how many people they've killed, how like each like metric of like this comic has sold this much, like all these different stats and metrics on the comic books. It did less than 1,000 views, less than 1,000, and I'm like, I could literally go on and literally talk about this T-shirt, and it would get more on my channel, at least on my channel, and I was just like flabbergasted that, and I even took it down and re-released it thinking like, oh, maybe it just got bad push, and it did like 200 views the next time. I'm like, I just don't get it. I don't know. It's the algorithm. So weird.
Algorithm and people.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what people get attracted to?
Exactly.
But something that got like buried into what you were, introducing yourself as is that you're a second generation comic book seller, much like Comic Tom.
Yeah, his dad, I believe, owned a shop or something like that.
He had bought a big collection when he moved out west, and then he was from my parts, and he became a Sunnyside guy like you. But he had very similar type of settings in there. So you're masquerading as one of these dirty, sneaky sellers.
Yeah, very dirty and sneaky.
Under like a very nice guy persona. So be careful of this guy. That being said, you've gone way past just being a typical seller, and doing the YouTube little niche videos. You've expanded your channel, and you've also grown into creating an actual very interesting business model through your collector's comics, because it's not a typical website where you're selling traditionally. You have an actual auction format that's very similar to what you would see on eBay or on Heritage and the like, Golden, that kind of thing. What made you get into that aspect of it? Because that's not a road that somebody wants to take very easily, because there's a lot of work to that.
Oh, it's a ton of work. I was just uploading a video of like behind the scenes of when someone sends in a book for consignment. The way I looked at it was this has been in the making for I think we started this auction website in 2015. We've invested of our own money, like I think we're at $800,000 now into this thing, just building it. Whenever we get money, adding it in. And we take in people's consignments. People send in, we have the lowest fees anywhere. We're 5%. We also have a cap on our fees. So anything that goes above 10 grand, we cap our fees. And we just sold our last auction. We did about almost $500,000 in sales of other people's books. And we sold a Fantasy 15 that went pretty much like higher than Heritage that just sold one of theirs. I think Heritage sold around the same time for $31,000. Ours was $33.5. And then, Heritage, people don't realize it's like, oh, their fees are like 5 or 10%, but they have a buyer's premium you have to factor in. So, and then ours is only 5%, but then it was capped because it went above the 10,000. So it was only $500 in fees for the seller. And I looked at like the auction landscape, and I saw every other auction house raising their fees, either in terms of seller fees or buyer's premium. And even eBay, I remember being on eBay and it was vastly cheaper. Now it's almost up to 15%, and you have to do all the work yourself. So I was like, comics are so expensive. Like, there's got to be a way that you can make money having lower fees. And so when we first started for 2 years, we were absolutely free. So we did everything for free. The sellers, or the people that could sign the books, got 100%. And so now we started charging, because obviously we have to at some point. But yeah.
Well, that was your way to get your foot in the door and get people to have faith in your product and your selling platform. Because I noticed something of your competitors, and I actually want to have them sometime in the future as well. Both Shortbox and Hip Comics, they do a similar style as well, beyond their formats, where they auction off, especially now they're doing the live auctions, the way there's a countdown clock and that kind of thing. And one of the things I've noticed about those platforms is a lot of the stuff is grossly overpriced, and it lingers there.
Yes.
Where it's on a basic platform.
I hate
and
that.
then I noticed that there's other stuff that gets really beat the hell on the auction format, because I don't think they get enough eyeballs to view and bid on it in comparison to eBay, Mercari, whatnot, one of these platforms.
Well, the thing is,
what are you doing differently from these kind of places?
So the thing is, like, what those other platforms may or may not realize, I can't speak on their behalf, but the reason why eBay gets the prices they get is because, and they can offer 15% as a seller's fees, because they've built up a massive amount of basically a customer base, whether it's for collectible cards, dresses, or comic books. And so that's why they can charge 15%. So there's these other companies like Hip Comic. I'm so confused. Because they come in and they charge almost literally the same as eBay, but they're minuscule the size. I mean, eBay's like in the top 10 most visited websites in the world, and you want to charge the same as them? That makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. Like, I don't understand. And they haven't really grown that much in terms of getting like new users on. So that to me, Shortbox, I mean, I know Hip Comic got funding, Shortbox got funding. From what I can tell online, Shortbox, I mean, I could be wrong, but Shortbox got, I think, 2 rounds of $2 million. So around $4 million in funding. We've had 0. I wish we could get funding. But yeah, and Shortbox got funding right when basically money was free and everyone was getting funding. And I know lots of people with companies were getting funding, but the time was when the comic boom was happening. We were doing so well selling comic books. We're like, funding, we don't need that. Comics are going to last forever. And then this started going down. So back to your question, to do things differently, what are we doing differently? I'm on YouTube. That's why, not one of the reasons I started my channel, but a reason. One of the reasons was I'm a creative person and I need an outlet constantly. Like, I'm always working on something creative. Like, so right now I'm working on an album. I'm going to probably do a comic book next. I have to be doing something. It's this who I am. So doing YouTube is a creative outlet for me, and I enjoy it. So it does become somewhat work. So doing things like that, YouTube, connecting with people, just creating like a community. I'm not setting out to create a community. Just happens. And, I would say something like most of our customers came from YouTube. So, I mean, it's great. It's a great way to interact with not only fans and collectors and your community and friends, but it's just to see what's going on. And, the reason why people send us stuff is because they feel like they know me, because they watch so many of my channels and in my videos. And so I think that's like a good help, a good reason why we're actually still in business. So I think everyone, they even watches my YouTube, whether they subscribe or consign or not. So it's a great way.
And you've been able to develop like a pretty solid, I guess, reputation with the community and your buyers and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've noticed from the content that you're putting in there that it's not necessarily a sales pitch every time.
Yeah.
It is, but it isn't. It's more of a subtle sales pitch, which you're not selling your exclusive covers. Have you gotten involved with that kind of stuff? The exclusive variants and like your own specific stuff.
So I don't know if you know who KRS Comics is.
No,
They are literally
absolutely.
they're like right next door to us randomly in our on our office complex. So they're really close to us. So I've talked to him a couple times. Super nice guy, super cool. I don't have any interest in doing variants. I know like Comic Tom does variants and KRS, and I don't really want to step on anyone's toes, so to speak. That's not where my focus is. We've talked about doing variant covers and even talked to Comic Tom and KRS about doing it, but it would be solely as a marketing ploy. Like we're thinking of doing like a variant cover, and every order that if you buy something from our auction, you get that free variant cover. So that's the only way you would get it. Like I don't have any aspirations of going that road of making variant covers and then selling them and stuff like that. It's not really what I want to focus my time on. Not that there's anything wrong with it. And knowing that, I've talked to multiple people and, how crazy the market is right now. So it's not like, oh, I'd be getting in and the boom times and it would just be, money flowing. So it wouldn't be a real like good financial decision.
Well, depending on who you ask, there might be something wrong with it or not be wrong with it, because it's a slippery slope going down that exclusive variant kind of situation. Like you mentioned, Tom. Tom makes a couple of 1 to 2 minimum every month of his exclusives, and that's usually catered and built for that box that he sells off every month. So that's the special luxury that you get from getting that box. You get certain books that you don't normally get. But I also noticed that he doesn't gouge the people when he's selling these covers, because I think if I remember correctly, I haven't gotten a box from him in a while. It's I'm more of an old school guy. I like older stuff. Occasionally I'll buy the newer stuff, but I think it was $40, 35 or $40 the box. Mm-hmm. For a box of like 5-6 books. It's not horrible. It's okay. It's decent. Then you got another guy like screw it. I burn enough bridges. You got Bryce Comics, mm-hmm. who not only makes his exclusives, but he's like force feeding artificial value into them, the way he's producing them through his channel, that kind of thing, mm-hmm. and artificial hype kind of thing, which is the opposite way altogether as far as how to approach it, because now you're going into this realm of a hype machine. And then you got other people that are relatively no names that are putting together exclusive that are selling them for $40-$50 a unit, and it gets a little odd, that you're buying a brand new comic. I get it, that's more expensive to print it because it's a more limited print run, but what's profit needs profit? I've actually looked into this. I'm sure you have as well. What the cost of doing an exclusive is.
Yeah, it's very expensive. Very expensive.
It is, but you could still make profits on it. Good profits, very good profits on it, by not having to charge $30, $40, $50 a copy.
Yeah. So
and playing that virgin trade game where I have the trade, and then because I like you so much, I'm going to triple the price on the virgin copy, which makes no sense to me. What do you think about that kind of thing?
So, I mean, I can't talk on each specific person, how they do things, but I mean, it is a business in the end. Like they're trying to make money, and that's what they're doing. They're taking all the risk, like a Comic Tom, Bryce, KRS. They're taking the risk of risking 10, 15, 20 grand and hoping that they can turn a profit. So that's kind of like what they do. So, I mean, it's just not something I want to get into, because I don't really, I'm not a good salesman. I'm not. Like, maybe I am, but I just don't want to be one. And for something like that, like for me, I talk about comics that are going down and up because I'm just telling the people the market. And it's not like this is information that I solely have. There's online like Go Collect or GPA Analysis, And I always tell people the market, I just want people to be informed and then they make the decision on buying what they want to buy. I just don't want them to overpay or just give them the reality check of like, oh, well, you can buy this at, $1,000, but it's probably going to go down. At least that's how I see things. And that's kind of like, I just want to give people information. If I had to go that route of doing variant covers, it would have to like, I wouldn't go in it with a business mindset. Just not saying I couldn't do it, but I just wouldn't want to. It would have to be a fun thing. Like I would do a variant of a turtle comic. And also I found out, which is so makes me mad. If you want to work with Marvel and DC, you cannot talk to the artists and you can't tell them what you want to draw. And so I'm like, well, that's dumb because I want to put what I want on there, but I'm not good enough. So I need to hire an artist to put on there and make a cool cover.
Yes and no. Because if you use one of their supplied artists, you are correct. You don't get that luxury. However, if you supply the art and they approve of it,
see that they approve of it and all that kind of stuff. So I have some ideas of some cool covers I would love to see done. Just get a cool artist to do them. But I mean, I would do a Turtles comic as a variant just for fun because I like the Turtles. And like I said, I would just do it as like a giveaway. I think it would be cool to do just for fun, do like a variant and make it like destroy every copy except make it like 1 of 10 or something, or a 1 of 1 just because. But then it's a lot of money that you'd have to spend for just because.
It's funny you said that about the destroying. Here's one of the things I've noticed a lot of retailers and a lot of direct exclusive vendors do. They say that we're only limiting it to 50 or 10 or 100, and we're destroying the rest of the copies. Have you ever seen a video where they actually destroy it in front of your eyes? The only one I've seen is Swaggle House. He's the only guy. The absolute only guy. And that was his own comic. It wasn't exclusive of somebody else's comic.
So I know KRS does.
Have you seen them actually do it?
Have I physically seen? I've seen trucks roll up with they're like these weird shredder. I think it's called Shred It or Shredders or something like that. They shred documents. So
I will give them credit because I have seen this through other people, because I know people that said they actually saw receipts of these shredding companies supplied as far as what they do. And that's at least something. It's proving that there's legitimately, that's it. That's the only books. Because I feel there's like a lot of artificial mumbo jumbo going on with that stuff. You get what I'm saying? It's one of those things. I know you're being political right now. You don't want to burn any bridges and that kind of thing. But you got it. There's some shady stuff going on with that.
I'm sure there is. But in my experience, I only have experienced what I've said. So, and again, I'm not really in the variant game. That's not. So my only experience of variants is talking to KRS and Comic Tom. And that's pretty much it. So I'm not really in the variant game. I know Bry's comics. I mean, I see all the variants because people get them graded and they send them to me through a consignment, and so I'll sell them. So I'm like, oh, this is interesting. So I sold Bry's comics. I forget what it was. A Miles Morales number 199. Just sold that. So I think it sold for hundreds of dollars. I couldn't remember exactly how many hundreds, but sold for hundreds. It was a 99. So I know that much. Well, there's one where like Miles Morales and like Gwen Stacy are like, I'm sure there's most of them. They're like, yeah.
Well, Jay says, Brooklyn, it is absolutely fair because it's my opinion. And it's fair for me to share my opinion. Just like you could share your opinion, Dave could share. We could all have opinions. That's the beauty of opinions. Whether they're right or wrong, it's an opinion. Who's to say? That's how it goes.
And the interesting thing is with comics in general, because it's such a personal thing, is when people like it's for a lot of people, it's like very, very personal, very, very personal. And so you could have a bad interaction that just so happens to be with dealer A, right? Or comic collector A. And it just things just randomly go wrong. And it's a bad experience. And then that person can just be like, oh, I hate that person. They're a horrible, horrible person. And then you have like 99% of other people like, oh, they're great. So sometimes it's just like, it happens. I've had things where like you ship it out and it gets damaged, but it's not because I packed it terrible. It's because it got ran over. I had a comic book got stolen out of a FedEx truck. So like miles and miles away from us, like states away, it got stolen somehow. So it's like things like that. And then, some people could get mad and, blame me or something like that. Not for the stolen one. That's, very, I was like, well, it was stolen. That's what FedEx told me. And so you have to go through insurance, and this creates a bad taste in the customer's mouth, because now it's like, great, now I have to get my money back, and they have to go through insurance, and that's going to take months. And now I can't buy another comic book. And so they just remember it as a bad thing. So sometimes that happens. So some people's experience, I just saw the comment about like, Bry's experience. Maybe someone had a bad experience with Bry. Maybe other people had good ones. I don't know. I don't know the guy. I know he
Well,
seems
I will
legit
say
to
this
me.
about your content. I like the fact that you don't go for those sympathy videos where you, like you just mentioned, you have a bad experience with insurance and something
Mhm.
being lost. You don't make a whole video crying for sympathy from the people on the video. It's part of business. It's one of those
Yeah.
things that I hate it when I watch that. Like, feel bad for me kind of thing. It's part of business, just like any
Yeah.
other business. There's the issue. You don't want to see that happen to somebody. And as far as Bryce, I'll tell you my experience. Remember that Delato fiasco he had with he had gotten original art, never used art before from Delato, never used.
Oh, I think I know this. And he used it as a cover, but it was like dated from years ago or something.
Yeah, it was used in Italy. So it was not, but it was marketed and sold in that way. I was one of the lucky recipients of actually buying one of those boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually got a 9.9 virgin cover of that.
Oh, nice.
And I ended up selling it for a nice chunk of money, thousands of dollars.
Mm.
Didn't make me feel good about it, though. I sold it on
So
eBay.
what was the controversy? Like,
The
why?
controversy, it was meant to be original art that was being used, and it was advertised as that.
Oh, because sometimes artists draw stuff and then they don't have a home for it. And then they're like, when someone asks, they're like, oh, this would be perfect for it. Here you go. All right. It's the same as music. I'll have songs written that are old, that are never released. And then someone's like, do you have a song for X, Y, and Z? And it's like, oh, here you go. Here's an old song that I have. Oh, you like it? Cool. So it's, I mean,
Yeah, but if you find out that you were published before that, you need
Yeah.
to make that right.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? It was never made right.
Mm,
It
okay.
was like
I'm not too familiar with this.
he played the victim card on the thing where
Oh.
I didn't know. Well, get a lawyer when you're signing these contracts and find out. That's how it works. I don't know. That's my experience, and I have other gripes with him anyway. But it's about you. It's not about him.
Okay.
About you. It's all about you. And holy crap, we're getting a lot more people coming in here all the time. But that being said, you went this route with Collector's Comics. There was a question that was actually very relevant to that, so I don't want to leave that to the end. Are you going to be making an app anytime soon for that website?
Eventually, like we still have like so much work to do on our actual website, like fixing things, adding features, things like that, that the app is like the back burner, because basically what we do is we like get money from selling comics and invest it into the website. So we don't have like, we didn't start with a whole war chest from like getting funding or anything like that we're just burning through. It's just more like money comes in, it goes over here, from comics into the website. And so the app is on the list of things that we need to do, but it's further down compared to other things that are higher priority.
Well, speaking of burning through, you actually not that long ago had to start burning through some of the inventory that you were hoarding for a while, because clearly business is not the same right now.
Yes. So we probably our best book, we had FF number 170 and a Fantasy 15 and a 60. Those are probably our best books. We also have an Albedo number 2 in a 9/8 first Usagi Yojimbo. It was Steve Galacci who created the book, not Stan Sakai who created Usagi, but the guy who created the book. It was his personal copy, and he drew a little rabbit on it, and it had both of our addresses on it. So that I planned on keeping that along with some other stuff. And it just came to this point where we're like, okay, we really need to put more money into the website. And so it was a business decision, like, let's let these go, because at some point we could always get them back.
Well, not
And-
that Usagi. That one's not going to be that easy to
Yeah.
get back. Did you
Yeah.
feel any pain when you went, like, or was it just business? You had to do what you had to do.
So it's really funny. So when I first started, I used to work for my dad and I collected comics. My goal was to get the entire Hulk run. And I had all the Tales of Astonish with Hulk from 59 up. I had Hulk 102 all the way up to what was ever current at the time. It was like, I don't know, like 377 or something like that, whatever. Or I have no idea what it went up to. And I had a few of the older ones. I don't think I had a number 1 or number 2, but I had 2 181s. I had a 9.4 or 9.6, and that was like the last book I got from working for my dad. And then I sold that to get a car. And then I had a low grade copy. And it was so funny when we first started this business and we're flipping comic books, we got in a Hulk 181, and then just like that, it was sold and gone. And I was just like, oh, that was the last time I was sad, because I remember how hard I had to work to get my original Hulk 181. And then once I started the business, I got one, and then another, and then another, and another, and another. And then I had so many, and I'm like, oh, okay. It just watered it down. So yeah, I mean, it's just business. I go like this. Oh, we got to sell it. Okay. It just, that's how it is. At one point when, I'm done with all this and retire or whatever, I'd like to go back and recollect again. Maybe I'll have more, I guess, I don't know the word I'm looking for. Not passion, but more pride, I guess, in the comics. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but
So what are you down to now? About a pallet of 181s?
I think I did a video like every year. I was just slowly collecting them. I think we had 50 or 60 somewhere in there. I can't remember anymore. I've since sold a lot of them. We're still getting some back in. I don't know how many we have left, maybe like 10 or 15. I mean, but here, hindsight, it's 2020. I wish I would have sold them in 2020. But
Is that like your biggest remorse, like regret, or are you having any remorse of holding on to that stuff during that? I mean, you can't look backwards, but you saw what was going on during that time period. You knew that wasn't going to last forever.
No, I knew it wasn't going to last. I didn't think the market would drop so sharply. It was crazy how fast it went up, because I look at all the graphs, and within like 2-3 months, it would go. Some books would go up 4x, and it was just crazy. And now they're kind of back to where they were in 2019, 2020. One of the issues though now is, even though the prices are lower back to where they were for a lot of things, they aren't. The people out there don't have money to buy the comics. So they're moving slower than they were in 2019, but still getting the same dollar amount value for them. That's kind of the issue. I would imagine the Fed rate is dropping their rate in November. They'll probably do a couple more price cuts, drops in 2025. We'll probably be, but the market for people to really start feeling it, because they're in so much credit card debt, probably be the end of 2025, 2026, where we start getting back to normalcy. I mean, prices will still steadily, I think, climb through 2025, but the average person, is going to take a while to really feel the benefits of having lower interest rates, because lower interest rates means that companies can start hiring. Notice how all those people hired a bunch of tech people and all those things and then fired them all within the last couple of years, is because they had all this money flowing through them, and a bunch of businesses got funding, and now that's all dried up, but they can't get any more funding because it's so expensive to borrow money that no one's borrowing money. But eventually these companies will start borrowing money again at a cheap rate, and people will have jobs, and then when you have a job, you can buy comic books because you have extra income, and cycle repeats.
So let's talk about this for a second, as far as the funding and the interest rates and your business involved. Now, one of the things that I think might be an obstacle for a business of your nature, or might not be an obstacle, correct me if this is the case, because you don't have a brick and mortar, right? You basically have like a more of a warehouse kind of setting for you. Okay. But it's still a structured business. You S corp, whatever it is that you're using for it.
Yeah.
Do you find it that lending institutions, banks, that kind of thing, give you more trouble for business loans than what like a pizzeria would get? Or Another more traditional type of business?
I mean, I went in there and got a loan. We got a business loan almost a year ago. I didn't really have any issue. Took about 3.
So
5
it's
days.
not an obstacle for a lot. I'm not telling people to go out and get loans on starting a comic book. You got to know what you're doing, but
Yeah.
but that's not something that you see as far as being a problem.
As far as me, I mean, I got a line of credit, so I've never gotten a business loan, so I really can't say much on that because I don't have much knowledge on it. I will say though, I've watched this one guy on YouTube. He opened up a comic book shop, and he said something that rings true: is a lot of people open up comic shops because they have a passion for comics, which is great, but they also don't have a passion for business or don't know how to run a business. They just have the comic side. And when you're opening up a brick and mortar or a shop or something like that, you really need a passion for business and a know-how to run an actual business.
I'm glad that we touched the subject because this has been one of the conversations, arguments that have been floating around for quite some time. And I've been part of many of these where people try to attribute certain reasons why a lot of the LCS is closed down. And as you just mentioned, a lot of LCS owners are not business people. They don't know how to run a business. They have a passion. They love comics, but they're not a business. And then you have the opposite where they hate the business. They hate comics. They hate what they're selling, but they're running a business, which is even worse of a situation. What do you think is the biggest reason why LCSs can't keep their doors open today?
I think the biggest reason why they're closed, I think there's a lot of reasons. But I don't know about the biggest, but I'll give a list of reasons that I believe. So I think number one, comic books, media is changing in terms of, if you went back in the day, comic books would sell close to 1 million copies. Like, I'm talking about like Crime Does Not Pay, stuff like that. They would sell in the hundreds of thousands of copies of those old actions, old crime. And because back then there wasn't much for people to do in terms of entertainment compared to what we have today. So comic books was that outlet. And even, going forward, it was still a massive outlet. And right now, people have like TikTok because what is entertainment? Comic books are entertainment. That's all they really are. They're entertainment. They're passing the time. But if you only have 2 options to do something, 2 options, well, it's one or the other. But now you have so many options. And so people are on TikTok. They're playing video games. I don't know what else these kids are doing today. So like comic books aren't as popular with the younger generation. So the people that are mostly into comic books are of the older generation, the people that grew up with them in like the 90s and 80s and stuff like that. But eventually they have to stop because they'll die. So it's kind of like, I think it's a dwindling fan base. And I read something on Comic Cron. I don't know if you're familiar with that website, which was very interesting. There was like 4,100 titles released in 2023, I believe, but there was 14,000 were variants. So that just tells me it's almost a 3-to-1, 4-to-1 ratio of how many variants are getting released. Now, some books will have like 100 variants and none, and some books will have none, but it just shows how many variants are getting released in that given year. And it's mostly catering to try and get the small fan base that's already there. And Marvel and DC get a ton of money by having these other people sell their comics for them. Basically, like a Comic Tom and Bryce Comics, stuff like that. I think that's a reason why dwindling people. Also, you can read this stuff online. So even though a lot of people love to have the physical book, there are some people that just like, hey, let me sign up to Marvel, whatever, Unlimited or whatever they have, Comixology, stuff like that, and just read it online. Also, there's people on YouTube that will read the comic basically. So it's like, I have a friend who literally doesn't buy the comic books. He just watches people online, just panel by panel, and read it for him. So each one of those factors just brings it down a little bit more. So there's a less customer base. Factor in that prices on rent, owning a brick and mortar, are super expensive, right? That just keeps going up because you need foot traffic. So you have to be in a highly dense area. That's more expensive for the person that actually owns the shop. I think a lot of shop owners also, like I mentioned before, are not business people. They are comic lovers first, not business people first. And I think you have to be a business person first, comic lover second, if you want to run a brick and mortar store and be successful. There are people that do it and they are successful. Also, it's a very, if you don't have a lot of passion for it, it's a lot of work for very little reward. No one's becoming a multimillionaire owning a comic book shop, a local comic shop. So you really have to be grinding and okay with grinding. That's why you kind of have to actually love it as well and be there. Oh, I'm here 7 days a week. Like most people won't do that. So yeah, there's a lot of factors. I'm sure there's other factors I missed or I don't even know.
Well, I think one very important reason that I've always been harping on is the inability to adapt.
Yes.
So you have a brick and mortar type of style where you have walk-in traffic, you have people that pull boxes, traditional type of thing. They refuse to open up online outlets. They refuse to expand into other mediums as far as where they could put out their product. And at the same time, refuse to put in other product in their place to help, keep the doors open.
But that's interesting is if they put in other product, I feel like this is not common with other industries, just comics, is they're kind of like, if you start putting Funko Pops, which Funko Pops sell, you get a different type of crowd than your traditional, like, I'm a comic book lover and reader. There might be some crossover there, but then also you get the comic book people are like, oh, they're just full of Funko Pops. I don't want to go there anymore, right? It's just full of like that new stuff that I don't like. So it kind of gets a little weird sometimes, but you're true. You have to adapt and have new products.
Do you feel that too many business owners are afraid to violate a small section of their clientele and dismiss a much larger infusion of business? And that happens a lot. You just mentioned the Funko Pops. I'm not saying to fill up the whole place with Funko Pops, but have a shelf of Funko Pops in the shop.
Yeah. It's
not going to hurt you. That kind of thing. You have people that are defiant to a lot of these things, and it just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't, you're going to be running off of just comics. You better have a very strong, healthy weekly pull list and pull box for people to come in. Otherwise, it's not going to be easy just to live off of the back issues. That's where the profit is. But
yeah,
you got to get the new stuff in order to get them to buy the old stuff.
And I also think that another issue is, which won't stop, is they're releasing too many titles. To be honest, I think if you went back to the 60s, they had their big premiere issue was like Hulk 102 and Iron Man 1 and Nick Fury 1. I think they bumped up to like 20 something titles. It's like now Marvel has like, what do they have? Like 50 something titles a month. Like,
yeah, but is there any more than what it was in the 80s where we were in the full boom? Think about it like that.
But in the 80s and 90s, that's when it crashed. So like, here's like my thing is like when you have less titles, you have more of a shared experience with other comic book collectors. So you can all talk about the same issue. Everyone got the same Spider-Man book. When you have 30 different Spider-Man titles, one shots, start overs, limited runs, people can only afford so many, and so they pick and choose. And then I feel like that doesn't have the sense of cohesion of like everyone read the same one. So I don't know. That's kind of like, but here's the thing is I did a video on it, how AI is this, it's going to make things, I'm not going to say worse, different. You're going to have, Marvel has 50 something titles a month. You're going to have hundreds of titles a month from once AI becomes more prevalent, which will be a couple of years from now. And then I was talking to Swaggle House and he made a very interesting point, which I agree, is pretty soon DC, Marvel, stuff like that, they're just going to be IP licensors, and people are just going to create their own comic books like that with AI, and then you just license character. Oh, I want Spider-Man, and I want to fight the Hobgoblin and Green Goblin at the same time. AI will write you a script, it'll draft some images, and I want Jack Kirby to be the artist, and it's like, boom, there you got a comic book. You'll pay whatever, a small fee to Marvel to license it, and then people will just reading their own comic books curated for them. And I don't think that's that far off. I'm not talking about like, oh, that's never going to happen within a decade.
Yeah, but can you see that going mainstream or more of a niche type of thing, like choose your own adventure kind of a situation?
Because I did a whole video about it, how Francesco Mattina, who is a famous digital artist. He's worked on Spawn, he's worked on DC, Marvel, all that kind of stuff. He got busted for using AI, and he got caught, so they pulled it from the shelves. But how many titles did he do covers for and didn't get caught? And I was talking to Comic Tom's friend. I don't remember his name, but he's an artist. He does a lot of variant covers for him. And he said it takes him a week to do a entire cover. And he does more of like a splatter paint thing. So maybe it takes him a little longer than a digital artist, but it takes him a week from concept. And I was like, well, is this a week as in like I work on it here and there? He's like, no, like a full-time job, 9 to 5, takes me a week from concept to finished product. So it's like, or I could use AI and create it within 5 minutes, which I did on my channel. I showed how easy it was, and they're pretty good, cool covers, at least in my opinion. And yes, that's his name,
Johnny Desjardins.
Yeah. I'm terrible with being able to spell names. So I did it in like 5 minutes. So when you think about it from like an artist point of view, it's like, oh, if I could just mimic my style and then pump out all these things, and now I'm just making all this extra money. Or from DC and Marvel's point of view, it's like, if I have to pay a cover artist $3,000, $4,000 to do a cover, and I can get away with doing an intern for $500 if they don't have a name, I'll do that. Or hire someone like me, and I'll create like hundreds of covers within a day, and then they can just pick and choose which ones they want to use, and then it's like boom, and then that's just going to happen, and because it'll be cheaper. And then you do the same thing with interior pages, which you can do that now. It's already been done. I've showed it on the video, so people will say like, oh, when will this happen? It's happening now. And you know, pretty soon you have AI rape scripts. So then you have Marvel just pumping out all this stuff. You bring the cost down from like, I don't know what's cost them to make a book, say $10K, down to like $1,000. Now they can pump out more titles that can be more geared to subcultures and things like that. And then there you go. And then this makes it cheaper. Artists have a hard time to get into. And then before you know it, then it's to the point where it's like, well, why not just create my own comic book? And then Marvel's like, here, let's license my characters to create your own comic book. And I think that's the way it's going to go. And it's just going to be so different. I mean, I love AI and robotics and all that kind of stuff. If you ever look at like my Twitter feed or something like that, it's just full of that stuff. That's like a huge passion of mine. So I just find it super interesting. And yeah.
Well, I absolutely despise AI. To be quite honest.
I know it's going to change everything, and I know why people hate it. And me being in like music, trying to like still do music, AI is just like going to destroy music just as bad, if not worse, than art.
That's why I'm kind of so shocked to see you embrace it so much, because as a creator, as an artist yourself, how can you sit there and sit back? Because what AI really is theft.
Yes, 100%.
It's blatant theft. It's not as if it is hidden. You know, right from here, we're stealing a little bit from here, 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 and we're creating something new.
I will push back on that idea, because that's what most people say. I will push that back on the idea, because I'll put it like this. Let's say you're in a band in the 60s or 70s, and you want to make your own original music, and you listen to the Beach Boys and the Beatles. When you write a song, you're going to say like, oh, I want to write a song that sounds like this Beatles song. That's how most people write songs. They're like, they start off with something and they're like, oh, I'm going to pull from this band that I listen to and influence a little bit of that. I'm like, oh, I love this guitar tone that, you know, Foo Fighters had, you know, and I'll put that in there. And like, so you're pulling this information. And so AI just does the same thing, but on a much larger scale than a human could possibly ever do, because they're pulling from everything while you're pulling just from things that influenced you. And so it can pull from everything. So it's basically doing the same thing a human does, just on a much larger scale.
Yes and no, because sometimes it's much more blatant than other times. For example, Vanilla Ice and Queen and David Bowie. You have situations like that, and there's a lot of AI that are very, very similar. You see stuff that is being regurgitated by AI that looks like it just came out of Art Germ's studio.
But literally. I think in my video, I think it was Francesco Mattina. I think it was him. I don't want to. You'd have to watch the video, but I think or Greg Horn. I know he does. They straight up copy stuff. They copy other artists. They trace other models to get their image. So isn't that basically the same thing? Like when Greg Horn takes swimsuit issue and then trace over it and then draws that, and that's his character for the cover. That's almost the same.
Well, it's kind of not because it falls
Yeah.
into changing the artwork. It's not necessarily the same. I know I watched that video that you're talking about actually multiple times because that's actually a hot topic of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as the tracing part, the light boxing, that's always been something that has been looked down upon in the industry between artists and other artists, and that's been one of Horn's biggest problems up until now. But it's at least straightforward what he's doing, and he's not necessarily stealing other artwork. He's going off of life type of models for the most part. It's almost like sometimes when you see somebody take photographs and
Yeah.
just try to
That's what Alex
copy
Ross does. He takes a
Yeah.
photograph to get more real. So when you said like, how can you be excited or happy for AI? I'm not. I'm excited for the future. I love future tech. I love all that kind of stuff. But to me, it's like trying to stand in front of a wave and trying to stop it. You know, it's not going to happen. It's just going to go right through me. So I have come to terms with it. I have realized there's nothing I can do. So I changed my perspective and I'm like, this is exciting because it's new and it's interesting and it's an exciting time to be alive to see what is going to happen. And there's going to be a lot of growing pains where a lot of people are going to get hurt. And that's going to happen. But what can come of it?
Well, here's
What
the
will
problem: the
happen?
people have to get hurt first. That's the
Yeah.
problem. You have to make it. They're going to severely damage certain people until
Mm-hmm.
the government gets involved. You know that's going to happen down the line, where the government's going to get involved and somewhat regulate it. But the damage is going to happen to certain individuals right from the get go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So why do we have to wait for that damage to happen? Why can't we be proactive about it? I don't hear a lot of people in outrage about it as far as trying to help creators' rights.
I
You know,
think
I'm very sensitive to this topic.
I think a lot of people don't realize. That's why I made that video. I'm like, it's literally happening now. And these were two main DC artists that got caught. And how many other artists didn't get caught? Or how many times did they use it and not get caught? You think this was their first time using it and they just, oh, first time using it, I got caught. No, they've used it before and other artists have used it before. So how long it's been going on? I would say probably a year. It's going to get used more and more. And the way I look at it is AI is like a big wall coming down. And if you're already crossed, you're fine. Like a Todd McFarlane, a Jim Lee, they're fine. They're never going to have to worry about AI because they have their name attached to it. It's that person who's 18 years old right now, trying to become a comic book artist and honing his craft. But by the time he's good, say at like 23, the wall is going to be there and art just will not be around for him to actually do.
Well, I look at it like this. I see that I'm in agreement with you that it's inevitable as far as where this is going. However, the very least they could do is give some kind of royalties or some kind of accreditation to sources that where it's being taken from. For example, a AI generated type of thing, it can generate where the sources are coming from, and it could print you out a list of where it came from. So that's where I think the government needs to get involved. And I hate getting government involved because they never do anything right. But
So you're saying they're going to do this thing right?
No, absolutely not. But at the very least, what they could do is make you basically a transcript of these are the sources the software pulled the resource from. Almost like how when you're writing a book report or when you're writing something and you have to source where you got that information from, they need to put that in there. And
So,
because now it will help it a little bit evolve in a better way that way.
So I think what's going to happen is, do you remember when Napster came out with music and people were stealing music left and right?
Oh, absolutely.
And then the guy from Metallica like sued Napster. They shut down, but then Napster came down and like 20 other Napster types came up, Pirate Bay, LimeWire, stuff like that. And there's this about decade of this, like, they didn't know what to do. People were suing music. CD sales were plummeting. And then from that came streaming. And now we have streaming, which gives other artists like me an easier way to get my music heard by people. But now no one really steals music because streaming is so cheap that it's actually easier to just pay the $10 a month, $8 a month, whatever your service is, and have that. instead of just, trying to steal all these albums all the time and getting viruses and stuff. So I think,
that's a perfect example, though. That's a perfect example of what we're talking about. So basically, everybody sat back and let the revenue for the artists, which was CDs, cassettes, etc., get destroyed in order to evolve to something else. But you basically damaged every single artist that was out there. Right now,
10 years, for like 10 years, they got damaged.
and not only that, to be able to function in today's environment as a singer, as a band, not necessarily as a writer. It's a little different as a writer, but you know this very well, that you're not going to get any income from, or significant income from, your CD sales or any kind of MP3 sales that are happening. So now your main source of revenue is going to be touring or doing clubs.
Yeah.
And that's you basically redefined what it means to be a struggling artist now because of artificial type of involvement.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
I hate to see that happen to the art industry, situation.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Music.
Yeah, it's just crazy that it's going to happen. And there's going to be some growing pains, but I think out from it, I think in the end, it will be a much different world. I can't say if it's going to be better or worse. I mean, I'm if someone wants a tinfoil hat right now, I'm under the impression that we're all in a simulation anyways. Like, the more I think about it logically, I think that the simulation is the Matrix is the ultimate end, in my personal opinion. I don't think we're going to make it to the Star Trek Generations era where everything's free and you get, money doesn't exist. I think it'll end up being the Matrix. I think that's the most realistic point of view. That's my opinion.
Well,
I know
here's the
people
thing.
share that opinion,
Greed is a part of human nature. And as long as human nature exists, there will be an element of some type of payment or some kind of accumulation of wealth or status symbols. It might not be money, but it's going to be something else that people are trying to accumulate to make their status and situation better.
Yeah, those one-on-one variant covers.
Yeah, there you go. But that being said, it looks like Comic Book Prince wanted to make this channel situation better with a super chat. And now what we do here every time somebody gives us a super chat, we thank them.
Thank him with a naked man.
And women.
And women.
I'm inclusive. It's everybody. Yeah. And because like every other channel thanks people with like hot young people, we need to give some love to the geriatric group as well. So thank you, Comic Prince.
Thank you very much.
My friends, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
I want to thank you much. Thank you very Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very funny.
Thank you very much. Look at everybody's coming in here. We got Niobe in here. We got Sticky Goose in here as well. I'm not saying hellos, I'm just acknowledging. Eggplant Comics, a whole bunch of people are coming towards. Wow, we've been on for over an hour. I promise I'm not gonna keep you on too long. I promise this from the get-go. But you got so much knowledge that I'm trying to.
I mean, we can still talk.
Pull it out from you. This AI thing is definitely a hot topic, and I really want to do as much to advocate people being more proactive to it.
Yeah, I think it's like a wave. I don't think we're going to be able to stop it. I think there's nothing. I think you're not going
to stop it, but to make it more right for the creators.
But in order to do that, I mean, not to get too political, but you're going to have to get the government involved, and the government is so slow. They're so slow. They'll be like, by the time Skynet is on their front door, arresting them and putting them in jail or whatever they're going to do, they'll be like, oh, maybe we should pass some laws now. Like, they're just, it's just never going to, they're just so slow. They're just slow to react, and they're so corrupt. And so it's, but.
We could totally do a whole stream on that. I'm not going to harp on that because we could literally do a whole stream on that. And I would love to get a roundtable on that at some point and get a bunch of people with different opinions from all different levels talking about that. I wish, hey, you got enough connection. Maybe you could do that on your channel.
Connection for what?
Through your comic book ventures. You don't know enough artists to be able to put something together like that.
I would love to have artists and writers on my podcast. I would love that.
Do it.
Like I would if I live in San Diego, if any artist or writer wants to come down and talk about their art and promote their art and just have me interview them, I would love that. I personally love in-person stuff. It brings out if you're not a camera-oriented person, which artists and writers are not, in person brings out a better experience for the viewer. Like you obviously do this all the time. I do this all the time. So like it was funny. We had a customer come and pick up his order from our last auction, and I was talking to him, and he's like, "You talk exactly how you would on your channel." I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's because it's me. Like, why would I talk any different?" But other people, like my dad, it took him like I would say a solid hour before he started getting comfortable. If you watch some of those interviews, so it takes a while for people to get comfortable. They don't know what to say. They're weirded out by a camera in front of them and the lights on, and it's weird.
All right. That being said, you just brought up your dad again, and we're going to dive into that because I really want to speak a little bit about that relationship you have with your dad, and a little bit about what he's been doing and what he was involved with up until this point.
Yeah.
But before that, we have to thank Razor for a super sticker here. This is my first ever super sticker. I've never seen one before. It came out red.
Oh, that's cool.
Why do stickers come out red? I don't understand. But we got one, and it's red, and we're going to thank him. I don't know if I could give him a full-length thank you because it's red, but let's thank him.
Thank you very much.
My friends, I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you very much.
My friends, I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
All right, we're going to end with Bollywood on him. Thank you. That's for the super sticker. See, it's always nice to say thank you. Let me ask you something, because this is a pet peeve of mine, and you can see how like animated I'm getting right now. When you send out a package to somebody to buy something from you, do you write a thank you in there, or do you add something that says thank you on there?
I mean, it's in the invoice.
Somewhere it says thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Because it's a pet peeve of mine when you buy something from somebody and then there's no thank you anywhere on the package. It doesn't take a lot of effort to either write it or have it right on your invoice or right on the box. Thank you. Just thank you. Doesn't matter if it's $1 or $10,000. I don't care. Just write thank you. It's a pet peeve of mine. I'm going to buy something from you. I'm going to see if you're lying to me.
I'll have to check it now.
I'm going to check. I'm going to call you out.
I mean, I think the invoice was written like years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago. So I just put them in the package. I don't actually read them anymore. I mean, I look to make sure the books are there, but I don't read what the message is.
There better be a thank you out there. Otherwise, I'm going to thank you police you. And you're going to see what's going to happen. Any old school David rants. He is known for the rants. And I'll say that much.
It's so funny. I don't think I rant. I just kind of most of my videos, it's all off the cuff. So I don't even know what I'm going to say. And I just say whatever pops into my mind. So it's not like I go out and plan to rant. Like maybe a couple of videos I've had a planned rant. Like I'm going to talk about this topic and I'm going to rant about it. But never, normally when I just talk, I just kind of talk. And just whatever happens.
So let's talk a little bit about your dad.
Okay.
Not gossip talk, but let's just talk about him a little bit. He was obviously a pretty well-known dealer in his region, right?
Yeah.
And he evolved into selling his business. Then he got involved heavily with CBCS.
Well, first he worked for Heritage.
Oh, Heritage. I'm sorry.
He worked for Heritage. I believe he was laid off during COVID. And then he got a job at CBCS because they're both in Texas, right?
So what did he do for Heritage exactly?
He would get consignments in and would grade books.
Oh, so he was a grader for them as well.
He was a grader, and yeah, he would grade like the lots and the single books, and then he would I guess sales, like, follow up with leads and either go out there and physically see them himself or having them delivered, and then he would go through them to see what they are and stuff like that.
All right. So basically, what he used to do before as a seller, a part of what he did before as a seller, but he did it for another company without having to spend his own money. That's a good job. I like that.
Yeah.
Get to see all the stuff, get to buy all the collections, and not have to risk your money on it. I like that. That's a good job.
Yeah.
Then he went over to CBCS.
Yep.
CBCS, he was a head grader for them. Is that correct?
So I have to specify, because I've specified this wrong. He was a head finalizer. That was his job title. A head
the hell is a
finalizer.
finalizer?
So basically, you would have the low-level people to mid-range people grade the comic books depending on how expensive it was. Then it would go to him to verify that the grade was legit, and he would finalize that grade. There was one of maybe two other people, I think. So he's one of three as the head finalizer. I believe. Yeah, that's how it goes. I'm trying to remember exactly how he wanted me to say it, like, because I think Wes is the head grader. So he was under Wes.
And overall, he had a decent experience both with Heritage and with CBCS.
Yeah. I mean, he's still friends with what's his name? Jim Halprin. He's still friends with him. Like, he would talk all the time because Jim Halprin and him knew each other from back when he was a dealer, so they had a long history together. He's still friends with the people at CBCS. He likes the people at CBCS. He thought they were, great people, just really nice people. He has nothing negative to say about any of them. I mean, I have nothing negative to say about them as like people either. I've interviewed Steve Borak, who started CBCS, interviewed Wes and one other guy during the whole case fiasco. They're nice people.
And amongst those people, you did interview your father. Most recently, with his newest venture into PSA.
Yes, he is now the head of the comic book division. So he is starting everything, starting up from scratch at PSA.
It's basically on his back. He's sink or swim. It's on him. Basically, he's the face.
So there's this lady Elizabeth, and she is the head of, I think it's called Pop Culture or something, which has like WATA, which is video games, Funko Pops. They might do VHSs. I can't remember. And then comics is their new division. And so he's basically under her. She's umbrella for all pop culture. And then comics is a subset of that. And he's the head of the comic division.
Okay. So he started out with them a couple months ago, I guess. It's been now.
Yeah.
When he got into this, was there immediate bad blood between him and CBCS for making that move, like a traitor kind of a thing?
I don't know. Not from his end. I don't know what they think. I haven't spoken to them. But as far as I know, everything seems to be fine. I mean, it's a business decision, whether you own the business or not. Like, he's moving to a better job opportunity. So I don't know how you could fault them for, making that move. So
I've watched your conversations, not only with him, I've also seen you speak on it. Actually, recently you dropped a video speaking about it on your own as far as what your stance is on PSA. And you seem to be cautiously optimistic. Does that sound right?
Yeah. So like PSA, like I would never want a company to fail. And whatever company that is, whether it's a food company or a grading comic company, and all the, I think PSA has a good chance at taking some market share away from CGC. But again, I was just talking to my dad on the phone earlier this morning. It has nothing to do with me. Like, when I walked around the Comic-Con and San Diego Comic-Con, and I talked to different dealers about PSA and their labels and their, how heavy they were and blah, 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 and the case and all that kind of stuff. And I think Swaggle House had a video where people talked about similar things. Other dealers where they're the thing that's so dumb about dealers putting in their insight is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they think. It matters what the market says. If all of a sudden the market dictates that a PSA comic book is worth 2x of a CGC in the same grade, same order, they will praising heavens on high that they have a PS version of a Fantasy 15. Oh, it's not that crappy CGC. We have a PSA, and they'll lug it around even if it weighs 10,000 pounds. They'll lug it around to every Comic-Con because it doesn't. The dealers, all they do is react to the market and then facilitate to collectors what they want. So whatever the market wants and decide, that's what it'll be. So right now, I'm optimistic that they could, because competition is good. Whether or not the market decides that they love PSA or that it has the same value as CGC, that remains to be seen. So until that happens, yeah, I'm optimistic. I hope it works out. This look at CBCS. CBCS has been out for a decade or more, and the market has spoken what they think of CBCS in general. So
Before we continue, I just want to clarify this and make sure that people understand this. And at the same time, I want you to basically straight out say you have zero affiliation with PSA at this moment. I say at this moment because you never know what the future will tell. But
at this moment, I have zero affiliation other than my dad happens to work there. It'd be the same as if your brother or your son worked at McDonald's. Doesn't mean you own and run McDonald's. Now, is that privy of me getting like some inside scoops on what they're going to announce and do? Of course, I know some stuff that is going to happen, but I'm not going to announce anything until they want me to, because that's their thing. But that's about it. I get more inside scoop. So it's basically the same thing as someone that, has some insider information on terms of just very basic stuff like, their new case, stuff like that.
do you see PSA toppling CGC at some point or any point in the near or long-term future?
Not in the near future. PSA, people don't realize how, and I didn't even realize this until I started talking to my dad, how big the card market is. It is about
That's massive.
8 times the size of comics. Comics is minuscule compared to cards. And PSA by far is the largest card grader in that space. There's Beckett, which is CBCS, same company. There's PSA. There was SGC that got bought out by PSA. So now they control close to 80% of the card market. CGC starting to dabble into trading cards, not sports cards yet. At least I don't think so. Maybe they started.
I think it's still trading cards.
Yeah. So PSA is massive. So they have a massive customer base, and there's going to be some crossover, and there's also going to be some people that will get into comics just because they like PSA, and they're like, oh, PSA says we should, be buying comic books. They're good investments, whatever, all that kind of stuff. And those people, because cards are very expensive. Like the top end cards are more expensive than the top end comic books. So yeah, you're going to get some I think didn't a card recently sell for like $10 or more million? Like no comic has hit that price.
Why do you think that is? Because it's a lot easier to be able to sustain a card in better condition than it is a comic book, especially something of vintage age, something from the 50s, card wise.
Supply and demand. That's all that's literally that runs all collectibles, supply and demand. It doesn't matter if there's more supply, better graded supply or whatever. It matters the demand. The fact that sports are a much bigger market that people are into than just sports in general. I'm not talking collectabilities. There's more people that are watching sports, into sports, than there are comics. So that trickles down into more people collecting cards, whatever it is. And so therefore, there's just more people. There's more demand for it. And so that makes the prices go high. I think a Babe Ruth worn jersey just sold for $22 million. It's
the economics on 101. That's
yes.
what it comes down to.
So that's the thing. And the thing is, a lot of times people try to create a demand by lowering the supply, hence people burning the comic books to create like 1 of 1s and 1 of 10s, but you still have to have that demand there. So yeah, with PSA coming into CGC, it's going to be a long ride. I personally think that there's only room for two. So 2 grading companies. So
Like, you think that there's no room for anything more than two? You think it's going to be a duopoly?
I don't think there's in terms of actually taking significant market share. I think there's only room for two. I, you know, so I think PSA is going to take market share from CBCS and from CGC, which will make CBCS even smaller. I don't know what their future holds in terms of CBCS, but I don't think there's enough market share for 3 main big players. So I don't know what that looks like in the future, but I think PSA has a really good shot in becoming a very dominant form. Whether or not they overtake CGC, that is going to be so hard to do. But I do think they will take market share from CGC. How much that is, I don't know.
Well, the biggest problem with CBCS, the biggest obstacle that CBCS has is itself, as far as them not being able to gain. During COVID, they had the perfect opportunity. Mm-hmm. During every single CGC scandal, they had every single opportunity. And what they do right now is they do silly, frivolous type of mudslinging by making Bananagate comic holders, making fun of CGC when they're not looking at their own problems and trying to fix them.
Yeah.
Their biggest problem has been customer service by far. By far. Their case is a very good case. For the most part, people don't really question their grading capacity, whether they're able to grade or not. I think they're reliable as far as, for the most part, a solid grading company. It's that customer service that is so abysmal that holds them back. Do you think there's anything else other than that?
One of the issues is their aftermarket prices. They don't command the same as CGC, which devalues their name.
Well, who do you think is at fault for that?
The market. It's the market. That's what they dictate. You put up two
books. The market, but do you think it's also the sellers that are giving up too quickly and not holding back on some of these books?
2 of the exact same books in the same grade, one by CGC and CBCS, and you put it in auction, a fair auction, say Heritage or whatever, and they go for vastly different prices, that just tells you that the market dictates one is superior to the other. And there's nothing, it's too late. They can't turn that ship around. That's the problem with CBCS. They've had over a decade and they haven't turned that ship around. So
it's a stigma.
So in most people's mind, I did a report on it. On average, they sell for 15% less than the exact same grade as CGC. So the market dictates that. There's nothing they can do to get it. It's not like they're a new company and they can just make a pivot real quick. They've been around for so long. I personally do not know what they could do. And so that stigma is always going to be there. And that's what's killing them.
Do you think if they flip it and get rid of the CBCS brand and go straight under Beckett, that will change anything?
It's an idea. I don't know. I have no idea.
Because I think right now, the way they're observed and the way their model is, I don't think they could survive under the same brand name. I think it's too stigmatized, like we just said.
Yeah.
It's going to make it close to impossible. It's just like PGX.
Oh,
I mean, nobody talks about them anymore, but I think they're gone. They're for some reason they're surviving, and I'm never going to say for somebody to go out of business, but I don't know how they're surviving.
Yeah, I don't know how they're surviving. Some people still use them, and
because it's cheap.
I try to encourage people not to use them because it's
not cheap. People are cheapos. That's why.
But it's like that extra $5 that you're saving on grading your modern comic book. You'll get more than that if you just send it to CGC in the aftermarket. Because if your whole premise is to basically, if you're going to flip this or sell it at some point, then you want it in CGC. You want to spend the extra $5 or $10, whatever it is. If your whole purpose is just you want to keep it and you want it graded and you want it as cheap as done, and you have zero desire to sell it, then fine, that's fine. You can have it in PGX case because it's just for you. But it really depends. What is your goal with this comic book? Do you want to sell it at some point? Well, you will probably want to put it in CGC case.
So let's just take 1 second and think. Comics embraced for another superhero sticker. but you don't get a full video because it's a sticker. It's not a super chat. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
My friends, I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't know. Do you see PSA like coming out with a bang right now? Like it's still early right now. Do you think like people are gonna?
Oh, PSA. I thought you said PGX. Sorry, PSA.
Are they gonna hit the market hard right now? Do you think they're gonna get that big, huge flux of people just wanting to try them out from the get go?
I think so. I think they're going to get a lot of people in the beginning. Now, can they sustain that? That's a different story. But I think they will get a lot of people wanting to use them. And I don't know. I think their case from I've have some information about their new case on what it is and what it's capable of. I think it's a superior case in this industry for sure. But again, I was talking to my dad. It all comes down to what is the market going to dictate? A lot of people have complained about their labels, especially in my videos, like, oh, the labels are terrible, they're terrible, they're terrible. And that's kind of like PSA's brand, bad brand, but that's what it is. But maybe people won't care. Maybe I look at it and go, oh, it's not that great, but maybe the market doesn't care that much and they will like it. I don't know.
The label's kind of ugly. But
yeah, a lot of people think that, but is that going to be enough to deter people from really buying it? Will people get used to it? People are used to it in cards. People will have a $5 million card graded by PSA with that same label. It's the same label on cards that it is on comics. So
personally, I don't give a rat's ass what the label looks like. It could be a plain white label with writing on it. I don't care. As long as the whole purpose for me for a graded book is it's an appraisal of sorts.
Yeah.
Why do you think we need these appraisals of sorts? What do you think was the catalyst for these grading companies to emerge?
I just kind of did a video on that. So people don't remember or weren't around or didn't do this back in the day. But when you had to sell your comic books prior to any third-party grading, it was a battle of you arguing with the other person. No, it's an 8.0. No, it's a 7.0. It's 8.0. I'm not going to pay the 8.0 price because it's a 7.0. And it became very hard. When you have a third party, it makes it so much seamless and easier to sell your comic book. You don't feel like you're going to get ripped off by going to some shady dealer who's like, oh man, this is restored. I can only give you quarter guide for it. It's like you got a blue label, 8.0. This is what it's worth. This is what it goes for. Now you just negotiate, between like minuscule hairs. But before it was so much harder for people to sell books. So that's what people don't
or reverse. They sell you restored books that they don't even know are restored.
Yeah,
and you end up holding the bag. Yeah,
dealers would sell unsuspected buyers restored books. And as a customer, you might not know anything about restoration or what to even look for. So it just makes it so much easier for both parties involved.
Less the middleman, unbiased middleman.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you can disagree with the grade. Oh, it's a 6.5, it's 6.0. Okay, you can resubmit it and try again. But yeah, so it makes it much easier, much easier, because before you had to find a dealer that you liked and trusted. And it's like going to an auto mechanic. You take it to one auto mechanic. Oh, you need a whole new engine. And it's like, really? Yeah. Taking another one. It's like, oh, you just need those little spark plug. It's like that. But now with CGC and graded comic books and graded whatever, it just takes that out, that guesswork out.
So basically they're a necessary evil. That's what it comes down to.
I think so.
And for all the complainers out there, we have nobody to blame for this other than our own cannibalizing of this market, because it's being shifty with each other that has caused this to go out, or sometimes just not knowing how to grade. That's a skill that not many people have.
Exactly. A lot of people don't know. I see people, they'll send me stuff. It's like, oh, this is like a near mint, I guarantee you. And I'll get it in, and I'm like, yeah, this is maybe.
You want to torture me? Try to get me to grade a silver or a golden age book between a 5 and a 6. I don't know what the hell the difference is. Like, it's like how much when you get into those middle grades, it's so defined of what the differences are. That
I always tell people Grading something a low grade is harder than grading something high grade, because as a 9.8, it's like, okay, I can look at like the little tiny damage it can have, like the tiniest little tiny, and then it's like, okay, it has like 2 of those things. Okay, maybe it's a 9.6, but it's like a 2.0 to a 2.5. It's like, I don't know, it's kind of all over the place.
Are you still passionate? You still feel like a hobbyist? Do you still enjoy collecting books, or has it become more business than hobby?
So in order to start this business, when I first started back in the day, I had to sell my collection to get the capital. I have very few books left that are my personal own. They usually have some kind of more emotional significance to it than a monetary value. But yeah, I just sold my entire Hulk run, my entire Turtles run. I had a bunch of other comics I sold. But it's definitely more business, and I really like the business side. Like, to me, it's like, coming into work every day and you're the captain of your own ship, and you're trying to steer it through these monster waves to get the crew safe. And you really don't know where you're going because the map is gone, the compass is gone, the stars you can't see, it's all cloudy and rainy. It's like an adventure, very slow adventure though. I've been doing this for a long time, but it's fun to see. It's fun to step back and go, oh, where was I a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and see where I am today. So I enjoy the business side tremendously. And I enjoy comic books a lot as well.
You're married, right?
Yeah, I'm married.
What did your wife say when you first met her? When you told her, I sell comic books? She said, what the fuck is this? What kind of job is this?
Yeah, most of the time, like when I was younger, I used to just tell people I was either a high-end antiques dealer or vintage dealer, like I dealt in like
Words.
vintage. Yeah. But then as I got older and didn't care as much, I would tell people I sell comic books, and people are like, wait, comic books? Like, what do you mean you sell comic books? And yeah, and then it just becomes a lot of explaining like what are comic books, they're actually valuable, blah 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 blah. It's but yeah, I can't remember. I think the funny thing was a lot of people found it cool. I remember this one person telling me, it's like, wow, you have such a cool job. Like, I work at some random, business in a cubicle, whatever. It's like, your job sounds super fun and cool. So
It's changed over the years as far as the mentality and how everything is perceived. I mean, you're what, late 30s right now, right?
39. Yeah.
39. I'm 47. Just those 8 years difference mean all the world as far as how culturally accepted this hobby is. Because just go back to where I was, that was not something you bragged about. Having comics and showing off your collection or collecting or anything like that. It was like, what the hell you do? Go get a real job, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It was much different. I think social media and all the platforms that are readily available to be able to sell them have made people much more aware that legitimate businesses can come out of this.
Yes. Yeah, I think social media now, because before comics were such a private thing, and now people can share and find this community, which is kind of, it's good that people have this, community and showing off their like collections and like, this is what I got in. I worked really hard. I think social media has definitely helped the comic book industry a bunch.
One book you've never held in your hands.
Action number 1, Detective 27.
You're obsessed to get them in your hands right now.
I've never held them. Or a Marvel Comics number 1.
But if you had to choose that one book that that's your obsession to hold in your hands, that you've never had in your hands, which one would it be? Are you a Batman guy? Are you a Superman guy? Are you a Marvel guy?
Personally, I like Batman over Superman, but the significance of Action Comics number 1 is too great to. If I had to choose to hold one, would be an Action number 1.
Now, do you think there'll be a day where Superman will go down the same path that Flash Gordon did, or the Phantom, or
the Green Llama. The Green Llama.
or the Green Llama. Do you
People,
think there'll be a day
I
where
always
that
talk about the
action,
Green Llama all the time.
we,
People don't realize he had a radio show. The Green Llama did.
massive, massive? You actually introduced me what the hell a Green Llama is.
Exactly. I always talk about the Green Llama because I think it's the most ridiculous like name. And he got it from the Dalai Lama. And if I'm not mistaken, it was Salt or something, gave him superpowers. There's different iterations of his origin story. I can't remember. And just generic superhero. He was a detective-ish at first, but the Green Llama it's a cautionary tale of
Or
how
Dick
someone could be so
Tracy.
popular. A radio show, and now no one's heard of him.
Well, think about how massive Dick Tracy was, and up
Mhm.
until the '80s, the name was still relevant. I don't know if anything's going to change now that they started putting another monthly title. I don't think that's going to make much of a difference. But
People have
people
moved away
wanted Dick
from that.
Tracy.
Yeah, people have moved away from that type of, I guess, entertainment. That
And those books, once
Genre.
upon a time, had some much more significant value than what they do today. So, do
Yeah.
you think action, or I don't know if I think you'll see the decline of Superman much before Batman. I don't know if you agree or disagree on that, but do you think there'll be a day where people are like, Superman, who cares?
So Superman and Batman are one of the most recognizable symbols in the world. If that time does come, I don't think we'll be around. I
Do you think
honestly
it'll be
don't.
that far out? Do you think there'll be a day
There's-
where Amazing Fantasy 15 surpasses action as far as the most coveted collected item?
No, I don't think that will happen. If comics are still a thing, I don't think it'll ever pass. Action number one has more than just the first appearance of Superman.
It's a
like
history.
it's the history. It's the first appearance of kind of like the birth of the superheroes. It's the birth of a generation. It's the birth of just a new medium, a new way to look at life. There's so much going on with that book. Spider-Man is key because it's the first Spider-Man and people really love Spider-Man. But action number one is the birth of comics, basically. I know it's not the first comic, but it's the first true comic book in terms of like superhero modern America comic books.
Well, it's the first accepted
Mhm.
comic as in that nature because you know how things go. People who change their minds down the line. Once upon a time, Hulk 181 was the second appearance of Wolverine, and 180 in every single book that you would get, first appearance of Wolverine. No cameo, no nothing like that. So people can get finicky and twist history in the way where they want it to go, as long as the public follows that narrative. So
Yeah.
you never know.
I feel the reason why certain superheroes work, certain characters work and don't, like the Green Llama versus Superman. There's something inside each human being, what means to be human, and Superman encapsulates that. Batman encapsulates that. Spider-Man does, all that stuff. The Green Llama obviously didn't. There's something in those characters is the reason why they're popular. It holds on to something that what it means to be human. So Superman is not an original story. The ancient Greeks had stories similar to Superman, power similar to Superman. So these types of stories have been told since the beginning of man. So there's something in us. Maybe it's because the engineers, that's an alien reference. I just watched the new Aliens movie. I love the aliens.
Was it good?
Oh, it's great. It's great. I just love the aliens mythos. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent. But yeah, they're making a TV show. I just love now they're not all good movies. There's what was it, 4 or 3? 4. There's like Mama. Oh. But yeah,
You're
I
also
think
a Hulk guy, which
What?
you're also a Hulk guy as well. I'm a
Yeah,
Hulk guy too.
I love the Hulk. I don't know what it was. People ask me, it's like, why do you love the Hulk? And it's like, I don't
He's
know.
natural.
Yeah, I know. But at some point, I was a little kid, and something about him appealed to me, where I've always liked him. And now
Were
I
you
can.
picked on as a kid?
I was homeschooled, so I just had brothers around me, so picked on by my brothers, yes. And then I went to regular school when I was like 7th grade or something like that. So
I'm
I mean,
just curious because yeah, I get that narrative from a lot of people that like gravitated to the Hulk. I was when I was very young in elementary school, I was like a big fatso and like getting picked by kids and so and I would
being
read the
excited
Hulk.
about beating him up.
Oh yeah, like you don't want to like me even when I'm angry. I would watch Lou Ferrigno and I would freak out. And then one day, this little fatso kicked their asses like he was the Hulk, and then he got expelled. But that's a story for another day. But yeah, I don't know. I've had similar stories come from other people as well that just for some reason or another they got pulled into the Hulk.
Yeah,
But
I don't know what it is. I mean, I was never an angry kid. I never fought or anything like that. I just something I don't know what it is. Like there's just something about certain characters that pull you in, and then you just like them from that point on. I guess I don't know. I couldn't tell you what my first thought. I remember going to the comic store, local comic store, and buying Hulk comics. But yeah,
you seem like a guy that generally is enjoying what you're doing, and you still have a passion for the hobby, which is a really nice, really nice thing.
yes, I definitely. I mean, I love comic books. I like looking at them. I love the art of comic books. I think we mentioned earlier that, you're an artist, and I would really love, to learn to draw at some point on a good scale, just because I just love art. So yeah, comics are fun.
Would it be a dream for you to write a song that would be played on a comic movie or
I
show?
did. That would be amazing. I'd love it. I did write a song that was in a trailer with the guy who played Crossbones. What's his name? Frank Gorilla. He was in a
Get the
movie.
hell out of here! Which one?
There's some movie it was called like Midnight. I don't know. I forget what he takes his son to go see Rocky 3. I never watched the movie, but my song was featured in the trailer.
Oh, that's awesome! Now we got to go and try to track that down.
Oh, it cuts off right before I start singing. it's like the intro of one of my songs. I got paid, I think like $1,000.
Did you at least write the music for it?
Oh yeah, I wrote everything. I write
All right,
everything.
so all right, whether it's your words or
But it's like
it's
it starts
music.
building up. And it's like and then it's like right before my voice comes in, it goes like the typical trailer, and then it's like the actors are speaking or something.
Kind of like how your heart dropped when they cut it off at that point. Like,
Yeah.
oh, damn it!
Yeah.
But listen, if they got to that point, that you're gonna get to another point where something else will get picked up for one of the other things. But it'd be cool that if you see the Hulk running through something and then and it's David.
Yeah.
It's his
Yeah.
music. What's the name of your band?
My band says Love Angeles. I wrote a song called Wonder Woman. And do you know Take on Me? Aha.
Yeah.
Okay, so in their music video, they do this cross between real life and a comic book. And so I had an artist do a very similar thing in my Wonder Woman music video. And so basically it's a very similar thing to that. Not as high as budget as that, but a similar thing. But yeah, I did a song called Wonder
How
Woman.
come you don't cross over with your band? Like, do you have a YouTube channel with your band? I know that you've done some video drops in the past where you're doing cross promotion with your band in order to get votes and that kind of thing. I think it was like a couple of years ago, but I haven't
It's so
seen.
funny. I didn't even remember that until you mentioned it.
Well, you haven't done much since then. At that point,
So
you mention it here and there, like you'll throw it in there that you're in the band, but you really don't do much. Do you have a YouTube channel for that band?
yeah,
or
I do have
you
a YouTube channel. I mean, the last album I released was about 2 years ago. I'm working on another one.
Let's
I'm
get
almost
the
done
link
with
in
it.
here. Well,
Yeah.
what are you doing? I asked you where are your links, and you don't give me your band link.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know.
What, are you shy now?
No. It's more of like I just like if people want to know my band, they can find it, and I'd love them to listen to it. But I just don't like people listening to it just to sake of like listening to it. I'd really like to find an actual fan base. Like I find it easier to find a fan base with the comic books than I have with like a music. I've been doing music for 25 years and I can't even garner an actual fan base. So
Believe me, the trolls in this community, if they don't like your stuff, they're gonna let you know whether they like your stuff or not.
my
So
stuff's
it's good.
good. I'm not to be egotistical or anything, but my stuff's like pretty top notch. It's just trying to find an audience for it. I would say my stuff's like kind of like I guess generic. in a sense, but it's the stuff that I like to write. So, and here's the thing: is comic book people are probably not the type of people that would listen to my type of music. I would say it's too poppy for them.
Well, you never know.
I
You
never
never
know.
know. You never know.
So
So
yeah,
I'm gonna look
coming out with a
into
new
it.
album. I'm coming out with a new album. Hopefully, I'll drop it. I'm hoping to get it done by October. But
I'm gonna look into it, and in the next Insomniac, I'm gonna play one of your songs, and then you're gonna hit me with a copyright strike, and then I'm gonna give you hell for it. But we'll figure it out at that point.
yeah, it's
But
all
that
on
being
YouTube.
that being said, we said a lot. I promised you I'm not gonna keep you forever. We'll just ask a couple of questions, answer a couple of
Hey,
questions
I
that we have
told you these
said.
things would go a long time.
Well, it's not my fault. You're the blabbermouth. It's not me. I'm trying to push it along, you know. But listen, we're having a good conversation.
Yeah.
That's what happens. But I'm gonna give everybody one last chance to ask any questions. I'm gonna ask the ones that have been started already. And while we're doing that, I'm gonna thank our friend over at Wonder World Comics for the super chat. And you know how we're gonna thank you? Like this.
Thank you very much.
My friends, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
I want to thank you much. Thank you very Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Whew. Thank you very much.
Well, look, the old people they cut you off. I apologize about that. Was there something important you were gonna say?
Me? Oh no. I said. Oh, I think I said. Here comes the old people, old naked people. I think I said.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Bollywood, old naked people, Elvis. What else could you ask for? That's how you say thank you.
And was
But
that
that-
girl that sang the song, the blonde haired girl? Is that the Friday girl? Rebecca Black.
I think it is.
Yeah, I was like, is that Rebecca Black?
It's like the cringiest video I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
But it belongs on this channel. But that being said, let's answer some questions so you can get back to your wife and your sunny California dreaming life over there.
Mm-hmm.
First question.
Is there
Well,
gonna be a-
we answered this already.
Yeah.
It's possible in the future.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna happen. Just a matter of when.
All right, you're a determined guy.
Right.
Not if, when. And then we got one from Mighty Comics and Collectibles. I have a question for Dave. Why does why does he grade everything before he sells? The market had been a little soft on slabs. Do you ever sell raw keys?
Yeah. So I don't grade everything I sell. So we do weekly auctions every Sunday to Sunday, and it's all raw stuff. Usually, I mean, there's some graded stuff in there, but it's all raw stuff. Either it's my own stuff, as in the company's stuff, or we get consignments. We do weekly consignments. Sometimes they'll give us raw stuff, raw lots, raw individuals. All start at $1. So we've been running raw auctions for 15 years. We just did them on eBay every Sunday to Sunday. Now they're over on our website, collectorscomics.com. We do them every Sunday. There's about 150 to 200 items every single week.
You're still doing the eBay thing, or you completely got off of it? It's
Completely
all on
off.
your stuff.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Do you think the scandals now with the CGC with the slabs is really beating up the values of slab books? Because you get a lot of people saying, well, now the raws are selling for more. I think that's bullshit from shasty people trying to sell their raw books for more.
So here's the thing. Like CGC graded stuff has a floor and a ceiling that's like this. Raw stuff, the ceiling slightly lower, but the floor could be way down here. It's like way different variance. So,
and you've talked about that a lot as far as case cost pricing and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
and that's been a thing for a while. It's nothing new. Even during the boom, you saw some people grade some stuff like, what the hell? And they were lucky to get case cost on some of that stuff. But
yeah,
don't grade stupid books. There you go. That's the moral of the story when it comes to that. And we got a question from Kamikaze. David, will you guys have a historical database on sales and has Go Collect or Cover Price asked for data? That's a good question.
So the GPA has our data. It might be an exclusive thing. I'm not entirely sure, but they have our data. We do have all of our sales on our website that we've ever done, raw and graded comic books. You can search either by the featured auction, or you can search by basically all the weekly stuff. You can search, or you can just browse. So everything we've ever sold, like our last featured auction we did, everything's up there. You can scroll through. We're going to work on improving that so you can just basically search. Right now, it's kind of, you have to search either the featured or the marketplace or the weekly auction. We're going to combine all that so you can search any past sale that we've ever had. So yeah,
That actually is really helpful because one of the problems you have with the eBay is where after I think 90 days they make everything disappear. It's annoying. It should be cheaper to buy stuff off the website than eBay. Is there a way to fix for him to fix? I mean, I think he's saying
I know what he's saying.
Fix the prices.
So basically, what we do is when I list a book. So what we have is we have like this system where I just list it on our website and it automatically ports it over to eBay with like a click of a button. So I listed at the same price. What ends up happening a lot of times is I'll drop the price on eBay, but not on our website, just because, to be honest, it's actually easier to price adjust things in bulk on eBay than on our website. That's another thing that we have to fix, is make it easier to list bulk list cheaper, like if I want to adjust the prices down. So what ends up happening over time is you'll have a price that's different on eBay and basically more expensive on our website. But if the person just reaches out to us, we will give them a better deal than we can on eBay, because eBay, like I said, takes almost 15%.
So you are using eBay still? That's what I asked you before.
I'm using it for buy it nows, for marketplace listings. I'm not using auctions on eBay.
Okay.
Sorry to clarify that. All our auctions that we did for 15 years, every weekend, is now on our website. So we don't, I still do the buy it nows, because I'm going to be real. eBay is a huge company. They have a lot of eyeballs. I wish everyone would come to our website, but a lot of people still don't know about us.
So you're kind of doing the same thing, similar to what is it, comicbook.com does? What's that other site that sells a lot of stuff on eBay and has sales, something comicbook.com or something. It's like one of these FOC type of places, but they do a lot of the sales that way, where they have it at a higher price on eBay and then you go on the website.
Yeah, it should just contact us and we'll give you the better price.
Okay. Holy shit, we got more super. No, I read those already. But you're not going to get a second video. All right. So I got another question from JSS Brooklyn. David, what continues to keep you connected comics in the business? After being involved for such a long time, what keeps you motivated and dedicated?
Passion.
Motivation and dedication. I mean, I just like to grow the business. So I like to see it continue to grow and do better. I'm constantly trying to, make the business better in any way I can. And, it's kind of nice seeing a metrics of like featured auctions and stuff like that. So then I can see like, oh, we made this much on last time, and then we're growing, and we have this many people consigning, and we have, this many new users and all that kind of stuff. So those, like, I love numbers. And so seeing numbers rise or fall is what keeps me motivated. And
Okay.
I love comic books. So it's fun.
Basically, passion.
Think about this. Like, if I didn't do this, what would I do? I'd probably be sitting at some desk job doing something that, oh God, this is like, it's just, you get to be around comic books. It's a very low key, like, environment in terms of like, we're not very strict over here in terms of like, you better show up at 8 o'clock or you're fired. It's just like, just come in, do your hours, get the work you need to get done, stuff like that. So,
or you could be touring.
I would love that. Is a dream of mine. If I could find a band that I could just open for and tour, you won't see me for however long that is. Whenever that happens, that's like a dream of mine that has never come true. I've played lots of shows. It's the only thing I've never done is tour, and that's the one thing I'd love to do.
And you'll have one of your brothers take over your spot on the channels.
Yeah, or I could just have Frankie.
How charismatic are your brothers? We've never seen your brothers, or at least
Frankie
I have.
Will take over.
Oh, you know what? People like dogs.
He's not as charismatic as me.
Your brother or your dog?
My dog's very charismatic. He's lazy too. My brother, he's not as charismatic as me.
Well, tell him to start practicing because when the tour starts, he's going to get to work. And then we have we already talked about that, right? Yes, we did talk about that. You can do that.
Yeah.
And then one last question that I have here is: do you like comic books or do you enjoy trading cards and action figures too?
I was obsessed with action figures as younger. I would get them and create my own little stories and play with them all the time by myself. But in terms of trading cards, I don't really. I had a few. I collected when Pokemon was new. I got the base set in Jungle, got those completed, then sold those when I was a long time ago. But in terms of trading cards, the only thing I would probably I love basketball cards. I had a ton of basketball cards, but those are long since gone. If I had to go back, the only thing I would get would be Magic cards. I play Magic every single day.
Oh,
It's
you're
the
one of
only
those
game
guys, huh?
I
One of
play.
the
Well,
wizards.
I play on my phone. But yeah, it's so I play.
I never played a game of Magic. I don't understand it.
Oh, I love it. It's like
It's
the
like
perfect
speaking a
game.
different language to me.
It's a perfect game. I've been playing it on my phone for about a decade. Before this, it was called Magic Duels, and now they have Magic Arena. I've been playing it for like a decade. To me, it's perfect because I can just like if I have a few moments spare, just pull up my phone and I play a couple rounds versus random people online. I love deck building. I love the strategy with like a bit of gambling in it. Not gambling, but like what's the word I'm looking for? Chance, because you don't know what you're going to pull, what kind of card you're going to get, and then it's kind of like there's someone in front of you and you can't see them because it's online, but you have to like read what they have and like what cards they're playing and what they're going to play next and know every single card that they have. Like just by if someone drops one card, I can tell you exactly probably what deck they have, just because I play so much and what they're probably going to play. So then it's like, okay, now I have these cards. Okay, he's probably going to play this on his third turn. So I'm going to wait to play this card because my thing will counter. I just like the strategy of it.
No idea. I'm a garbage pail kid. That's what I collected as a kid. Those are the trading cards I like. Garbage pail kids and Marvel cards and that stuff.
Yeah.
Looks like one last question snuck in here last second by Luke.
Do I ever collect original art? In terms of collecting, not so much. We have some original art. The problem with original art is it's one of one, and so it's very hard to move. You have to find someone who wants that exact piece or that artist or whatever. So it becomes harder to move that we found than comic books. There's a lot of original art I would love to buy personally. Here's one of them right here, Detective 880. That's what I'd love to get personally.
So you stay away from that because of the liquidity of it.
What? Say that again.
You stay away from it because of the liquidity, basically, on the art.
Yeah, the margins can be better than comic books, but it's just so much longer to sell. It's really hard. So yeah,
it is a beast. Yeah, and the other thing is, it is you're diving in a rabbit hole with the original art, where it could get a lot more expensive than comics. We're not talking about the big boy comics. So you could get average pieces of art that could still cost you thousands of dollars.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's a different venture. Yeah, that's the place I was talking about, Eggplant. And yeah, they're one of those. They do the FOC cutoffs and those kind of things, but they also sell stuff on eBay as well. You don't do any new comics, right? You only do vintage stuff.
I mean, if the comic is valuable enough, like I said, I just sold that.
No, I mean you don't order every month from Diamond and from
no,
and all that stuff. No interest of doing that.
No, it's a completely different side of the business. I'm more wanting to grow our website and turn it into, like the next Heritage or eBay type of thing,
And you have no interest of retail at any point.
No.
Yeah, Jim Lee. Yeah.
I just did a documentary on Jim Lee.
You've done the documentaries on a lot of people. Mm-hmm. You've done interviews with a lot of good people on there. People need to go and watch your channel and go back to a lot of those interviews because a lot of them are actually relevant even today, like talking to the son of Hugh Hefner.
Mhm.
Well, I'm gonna say that again.
Marston.
I don't understand why the hell that video doesn't have like at least 10,000 views on it.
I
It's
know.
the son of Hugh Hefner.
It was so weird because I get a random message on Instagram saying, "Are you the comic guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, who is this?" And then they don't respond for like a couple days and they come back and like, "Oh, I'm some random name, I don't remember." And it's like, "I have someone that wants to talk to you." I'm like, "This is so vague. What is this?" And then lo and behold, he's like, "Can I call you? I'm an agent for someone." And so I'm like, "Okay." So he calls me and he's like, "Yeah, I'm the agent for Marston Hefner, Hugh Hefner's son, and he loves your channel and he wants to talk to you." And I'm like, I was like, not in a billion years, but I guess like that was the person that wanted to talk to me. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll talk to him. And so we talked and we still text back and forth. Yeah, he's a very nice guy.
One of my most enjoyable videos that you've done,
Oh.
besides a lot of the other stuff. All right, I'm going to give you one last question. I lied to you before because it came from Kamikaze, and I like him, so I'm going to ask his question. Have you considered having a live sale portion for your site or a future app? The app we talked about, the live
Yes.
portion, that's actually interesting.
So a live portion, it depends what you mean. If you mean like whatnot, no. If you mean like heritage, possibly. So whatnot, I don't like whatnot. But heritage, where basically you have the auction already run, and then the last bit of it, you kind of have like an announcer, like, okay, we're in the final moments, this is blah blah blah, something like that. We have not exactly like that, but we have some ideas of things that we want to do down the road. But yes, some kind of live portion.
Where you'll be streaming a live auction with a auctioneer and the whole nine, that kind of a thing.
Maybe not so much an auctioneer, but yeah, something
Well,
similar.
one of you guys.
Yeah, something similar, kind of like that. But yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Why are the apprehension towards whatnot? Out of curiosity.
So whatnot to me is they've gotten hundreds of millions of dollars in funding. So people think they're more popular than they are just because they're based off of how much funding they have. If you get like 200 million, I don't know, it's hundreds of millions of dollars they've gotten in funding. It gives the illusion that they are doing really well and they're really, really popular. That's because they're paying everyone to be on there, paying for, I mean, Gem Mint came out saying that he was paid to be on there quite a lot of money. He didn't specify how much, but paid a lot of money to be on there. So a lot of people are paid to be there to make it seem more popular. The problem is it's such a bad idea.
Well, what makes that any different from any other venture capitalist type of?
I'm gonna go on a rant for a minute. So
all right, go ahead.
Here we go. You don't need to make them bigger. Here's the problem.
I got a rant.
Here's the problem with whatnot. That is mind-bogglingly stupid. Is they depend on you to go out and get your customers. So if you are selling, say, comic books or phones or whatever you're selling, you have to then go out and get your fan base, just how you do on Instagram. The reason why eBay is eBay and it works is because all you have to do is supply the comic book or the phone, whatever you're trying to sell. eBay handles getting the customers to come to you. That is eBay's job. And for that, they charge you 15%. Whatnot, I don't remember what it is, 8, 10, 12%, somewhere around there. I can't remember exactly, but whatever it is, too much. And they expect you to go out there, find your own customers to bid on your own stuff. And it's just beyond me. You can't post ahead of time. At least on eBay, you can run an auction for a week, 10 days, 1 day, whatever it is. And it's up there for, I don't know how long, however long you decide to put it up there. So people can see, they can come and look at it and like, oh, this is what a reroute. If you're doing whatnot, it's like, here's one item, bid now. Okay, what's the next item? Oh, here it is. I had no idea what it was going to be. This is the next one. You can't plan ahead. It's just kind of like, oh, let's see what's up there. So it only works for people. No one's going to put up a $20,000 book up there because you don't have any way to advertise it, let alone you don't even have people coming to your thing. You have to go and get your own people. Like, that is so stupid. It is so dumb. And yes, I know Whatnot will put down like, oh, go to the comic section. Here's some auctions that are running, but you don't know what they have. I've joined a couple and I'm like, what do they have? Here we go. They have this book. What else are they going to have? I don't know. I have to sit here for 2 hours and then maybe they have something I want. It's just so dumb. It is such a bad idea. And this company will fail and be gone. Their best
best bet is someone like eBay will buy them or some other company will buy them. They are not going to last. They won't be around. They'll last for a while because they have so much freaking money and funding that they're going to last, but it's a bad idea. It's only to sell cheap stuff. No one with anything expensive is ever going to sell on there. It's a interesting idea, but in execution at the scale that it is is absurd. It's never going to last. They got too much money. They were in the height of the comic boom and COVID boom and money boom that they got too much money to grow for the expectations of these VCs thinking it's going to be eBay size. It's not going to be eBay size and never will be, because the fact that you have to go out and get your own customers. Why doesn't Instagram just do that? That's what people do on Instagram. They get their own followers, but that's free to do it on there. And it just makes no sense. Like, it's just such a bad idea. I just rather put it up on eBay. eBay has a massive customer base already, and they find your customers. It's just such a stupid idea. Like, it should be this small, and eBay should be this big. So, but they're trying to be this big next to eBay, and it will never happen.
That is true. You could post upcoming shows, and you could actually put stuff in the store and whatnot. But do you feel if it was 5% on the seller, it would be a better platform? Or 3%?
There's no amount of percentage they could charge to compete with eBay because of the pure fact that you have to go out and find, like Comic Tom would have his comic hour, power hour, whatever he called it, and they would have a bunch of sellers, right? And Whatnot wanted them to do that. It makes sense for Comic Tom and other people to do stuff like that because Whatnot is paying them. But an average person, some random viewer that you have here, or whatever, even me, like they came to me and they wanted me to join. And I said no. Well, multiple reasons is because I have my own thing. That'd be conflict of interest of me doing my own thing.
Think? A little bit.
And I don't want to promote them. But if a random person decided to open, I'm going to sell my comic books. I've been to these people just kind of curious to see what's going on. They'll have 0 viewers. 0. You put that comic book on eBay, you're getting hundreds, maybe even thousands of viewers if it lasts a week or whatever it is. So it's just so from a perspective, there's no amount they could charge. There's no amount they could charge that would justify the fact that you have to pull in your own viewers and the fact that you can't, like, it's not convenient. Like you said, you can put stuff in your store and you can announce it, but it's not convenient to like list something for a week and have it run for a week so everyone can see it and watch it and star it and like, oh, I'm going to follow this book or whatever it is. It's
as far as that concerned, you're right, as far as not being able to do the long-term auctions. But I think the one benefit that Whatnot has, that maybe that will get neutralized in the future as eBay Live goes more and more. Mm-hmm. But the one distinct difference is a seller being able to go on screen themselves and actually sell the book, old school style, actually sell it.
So that,
and not just post it.
So that comes down to then you have to be a salesperson. While the book is not the sales. Like if I list an actual one, it's selling itself. And that's why I don't consider myself a salesman. I don't want to try to convince someone to buy something. If you want an Ultimate Fallout 4, I will have one for sale for you to buy. If you want whatever, you're trying to complete that run, you're trying to get a Hulk run, I will have books in that run for you to buy. I'm not a salesman. I just supply you with the things that you already want. Whatnot, you have to be a salesman and go on there and like, oh, buy this book. Let me say, some people probably lie and like, oh, this book is shooting up. You better get this book now. And then it opens up a whole thing of like
the hype machine. Yeah. I mean, you have different quality sellers on there, and they should vet a lot more as far as who they allow.
I think you just sign up for an account and you can sell. So you don't really.
I got a seller's account there. They let me in. So there you go. But
so I'm not a fan of Whatnot at all. I think there's a place for it. I just don't think that it should be the size that it is. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be because like, oh no, it has so much money and funding. I'm saying and overall, it's a cool, interesting idea, but it could never work on a scale unless they change their entire model of bigger items. It could only be there for smaller dollar amount items. I'm talking specifically comics where people come and they join this cool show and what's going to happen. Oh, that's interesting. I'm a bit on that. But someone who's trying to spend 10 grand on a book, I think Golden Age Guru, I don't want to misspeak, but I believe he said, I tried it with bigger books and I got burned.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people get burned. I've heard people selling crap that made a buttload, and then you get
Yeah.
everybody in between, like Kamikaze. He's got a Whatnot channel on there. He does very well, but he's got his loyal base of people that come in, and that's going back to what you said. If you build a loyalty base or something like that, it works for you. But if you don't have that, you got a problem.
Then, even if you're just an average person and you're slowly grinding, you have to grind to build this base, right? It just, compared to eBay, I have their base, their entire base. Let's say 1 million people search through comics in a given month. I don't know how many people it is, but let's say 1 million people. Or I can go on Whatnot and have a very small base that I had to build, and you're only one person, most likely, that you have to build this base. It's just,
But eBay will screw you too, because yes, you do have a large platform by far, but at the same time, hey, you want to be seen a little bit easier, pay a little bit more. You want to be promoted here, pay a little bit more, and they could nickel and dime you to death.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. I'm not saying eBay is great by any means, but I'm saying it's much better. Like, if you're going to come out with a competitor, you have to, especially when you're getting hundreds of millions of dollars in funding, you better be vastly better than your competitor, or at least have the options to be better. Like, this is the path forward, how we're going to be better. And I just do not see Whatnot as being a better option in the end than eBay.
So, do you have any thoughts or aspirations of possibly taking on, qualified and respectable sellers under your umbrella at any point in the future?
Yep, we're bringing our first one on end of September. We're in September, yeah, end of this month.
Oh, look at that! We stumbled on that by accident. I didn't even think.
There you go. There's an inside scoop.
I didn't even think of that ahead of time to ask you that, but that's funny that just happened. So you are going to be doing that going forward, where you're going to be taking on, respectable people, business people, to be under your umbrella. That's smart, very smart.
We are going to run. I don't know if any of your reviewers out there, if you're an actual dealer, if you're an actual comic book dealer, meaning you don't have to be a big dealer, but you're an actual dealer. And what I mean by dealer, someone that understands the industry, understands running. Right now, our marketplace is free for anyone. So any person can list their comic for sale for free. We take $0, no final value fees, no selling fees whatsoever in our marketplace. But if you want to run auctions, you have to be kind of like a dealer, because I want someone that understands what being a dealer is like. They've run auctions on eBay or other websites, and they know the process and all that kind of stuff. And for a limited time, we're going to have them 0%, no fees that we take whatsoever for the auction portion.
Now, you don't venture into original art yourself, but would you venture into partnering up with original art vendors?
100%, 100%.
Because that's a platform we don't really have a very strong presence in.
You can list, like I said, in the marketplace. And by marketplace, what I mean is, like, we'll call it a buy it now, a fixed price listing. Anyone can list anything, anyone. So it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a dealer. You can just have one book in your entire collection. You just want to list. It's free.
But those aren't your guys. Like, I'm talking about, like, your guys, like under, like they're with you.
So that for auctions, if you want to run auctions, you have to be actual dealer, and you'll run your own auctions, similar to like on eBay. You'll run your own, and we won't, for a limited time, once we get a bunch of dealers on, until we kind of like, make sure everything's working, all that kind of stuff, we won't charge any fees. So if there's a dealer out there that wants to join, we won't charge you a dime. No final value fees, no selling fees, no buyer's premium, no nothing. 100% free to run your own auctions. But yeah, again, you have to be a dealer.
We did talk about Shortbox a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, I don't think David has a positive opinion about their format. Am I wrong?
So I met them, Gene, and a couple other people, nice people. I don't want to speak ill will about them, but I mean, they're technically a direct competitor to us. So, like, everything I say might be construed as, I don't know, like.
Of course, it's gonna be biased, but you could have an open opinion about them. I look at it like that.
So my open opinion of them is that they are kind of like where we are, like in the same spot.
And
But they charge more.
they charge, yes, they do. They charge 10%. But I meant in terms of size. They got funding, and from what I've gathered online, not from them speaking to me personally, but what I gathered online, they got about 2 rounds of $2 million. And they have like some big heavy hitters that are funded into them. I think like CPO or COO of eBay at one point, and Goat and stuff like that. Their whole mission is to build a Goat like. If you're not familiar with Goat, it's basically short box, but for sneakers. And Goat sold to Foot Locker for hundreds of millions. So they're in it to sell their company to someone, whoever that is. I don't know. So they're building up that to sell. That's their whole goal.
Kind of like Whatnot.
Yes.
Because, you know, that's basically Whatnot's plan is too.
Yeah. So that's their goal. And they're building it up. I would do a lot of things differently than what they do. But yeah, I mean, they're pretty much like a direct competitor to us, and they're pretty close to us. So
Looks like you got people already interested in venturing into business relationships with you. So how do dealers join you?
if they
How do
want
they contact you?
to contact me at david@collectorscomics.com. And yeah, I'll get you started in doing that. Basically, we have to vet people, and this is just for the auction portion. If you want to list your own books in auction and do all the auction yourself. If you want us to do the work, you send it to us as a consignment, and we do everything for 5%. But if you want to list your own books in your own auction, deal with your own customers, stuff like that, you'll have our platform to do it on, and we will take no money whatsoever. You'll get 100% of it. And if you want to just list your comic in the marketplace as a buy it now, fixed listing thing, anyone can do that, and we take no money for that. We're free.
You're like a drug dealer. You give it away you give it for free in the beginning, get people addicted to it, and then they hook onto it. That's what you did for 2 years with the.
Well, we have to make money somehow. We're only 5%, and we have a cap. So
you're like, here, have some candy, guy. Hey, come here. You sweeten them up, and then they're like, all right, now we're gonna charge you. But you didn't hit him. You didn't clobber everybody. I was expecting it a lot sooner than when you did it. I'm actually shocked that you lasted that long.
Oh, it was so hard. It was so much work. And not getting any money for it. But yeah.
All right, I'll post it right now. David, I'm very slow at writing. So David at collectors with 2 L's. See, I know how to spell. Comics.com, right? Or .org?
Yeah. .com. Collectors Comics. Yeah.
I have the website in the thing anyway. If
you go on the website, there's a little thing like, I think it says like, let's chat or how can I help? And that's posted.
There you go. David at collectorscomics.com.
Yeah. Just reach out to me.
In capital, so you don't miss it. You're welcome.
Thank you.
So, YouTube chat. See how good I am. That being said, we could go on for literally. I think you're the kind of guy I could literally ramble on with for like another 5 hours.
See, I told you. I warned you. See, it's all right. I said 1 hour, and it's been an hour and a half. See, I told you this is what happened.
Well, it helps if you're a little bit interesting. You know, I've had people on where I'm like, what the hell am I going to talk to them about right now? I'm going to have, who am I having on next week? I'm having Comic Capsules on next week. You know that company that makes the capsules that they do it? Those like cases. They're like, you could stick them in a short box. You could throw it on the floor. It doesn't break.
I think so.
I'm going to have those guys on. Sure, we're not going to have these kind of conversation with them. Probably going to get pissed at me because I'm going to start hitting their case with a hammer to see if it breaks or not.
Did you see that video I did with CGC and CBS cases where I ran?
It's actually one of my favorite videos that you did with all those tests on there.
Yeah.
You actually ran over a freaking case. A couple of you threw it in a pool. What else did you? You threw it off the roof. What else?
Hit it with a hammer. Yeah.
Actually, one of your best videos.
Yeah. That was a fun one.
I still like that Playboy guy better. But that's the perv in me. But
Yeah.
how do you call it? I want to hear more stories. That's the only thing I have to critique about that. I wanted you to get into more into the grotto and mansion talk with him and see what
Well, I
his.
think I talked to him before, and he said like he was pretty young, and so, I mean, but yeah, I mean, his perception is different, because his dad was already older at that point. But yeah.
Fix the spelling, freaking jigs. All right, the Collector's Comics. All right, damn it, David.
You spelt my name wrong.
Did I?
Yeah, you spelled Davd.
No, I didn't. Did I? No.
You didn't put an I in there. That's what people are saying.
Oh, I didn't put the I in there. All right. All right, it's David. David at Collector's Comics. All right, David. David. Okay. I'm trying to do this with my left hand. I'm not ever that good. All right. That being said, I definitely want you on at some time. We could talk a lot more in the future. I appreciate you giving us your time.
Yeah.
And everybody go out, check out David's channel, Comic Book Investments. I'm here's the thing. Why didn't you use the same name for your channel and the thing, Collector's Comics? Or
Well, because I originally started this, like I said, as a creative outlet, so it really wasn't tied to the business website at all. And I like Magic cards, and there's a guy I watch, Alpha Investments, who talks about Magic, and so I just liked his name, so I kept it and just changed it from Alpha to Comics.
and it's your IP. You don't have to share with your brothers. That's yours, your channel,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So originally I just created it as like an outlet just for me, and it just turned into this.
All right. So that being said, go over to Comic Book Investment. Check out. I promise you're going to get good quality content. Go out, check out his website. There's is the ASM 300 still being that giveaway is still going?
No, that only goes and then when the auction's over, we pick a winner, and we already sent it out to the winner.
You already found a winner. Was it me?
Did you get it?
No,
Then it wasn't you.
I wanted to win that.
Well, you have to enter.
I did enter.
Well, you're one of I think we had over 1,000 people enter.
I thought you said you're gonna rig it for me. So what's the next book you're gonna do next time? You want to give a teaser to anybody so they could start?
I don't even know. We usually run the giveaway when we run our featured auction, and so we don't pick it until literally like the day before we start running the giveaway.
And all they got to do is put in their email into your website, and then
they just have to sign up for the website so we can track them, obviously, and give them the item. But if you're already signed up, then you just have to hit the button. And
you're automatically in, and you just have to press enter. That's it.
Yep.
All right. Go get yourself in the email. So when the time comes and it gives away another ASM or some other cool thing, press it. But this time it's going to be
Did you see the one where we gave away all the broken cases from that test?
Yeah, I did.
Not very many people actually entered that one. But
I actually did. I wanted that one. I would have made great content out of that.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
I entered that only for the reason of wanting to make content out of it.
Yeah, most people didn't want broken cases.
Oh, I want that. I'm weird like that. But that being said, thanks to the chat. You've been amazing. We had a strong chat from the beginning. West Coast, East Coast, every coast, global. Thank you very much. Twitter people, Twitch people, thank you as well. We're done. Call it a wrap. We'll have him on another day. We'll talk about more stuff. Good night. That's it. Over. End stream.
Thanks. Later.